I've heard from yesterday. There he is.
On the corner, I like to give everyone a minute, but if they're not, I like to get started.
Nice freight train.
Sarah, how are you? Okay, from work? Watching that clock. Turn off the elevator music so now it's just quiet. Do you need to switch your bottle? Do you want to go do that real quick before we start?
It's okay.
Okay.
Recording in progress.
You're so loud. Okay. All right, good evening, everyone. It's 6 p.m. I'd like to go ahead and call tonight's meeting to order. It's July 16th, 2026, and this is our regular council meeting. Lori, can I please get roll call?
Mayor Young,
Here.
Vice Mayor Painter,
Here.
Councilmember Brandon,
Here.
Councilmember Sartori,
Here.
Councilmember Stone.
Here.
Thank you. Tonight, the invocation and pledge of allegiance will be led by Councilmember Stone.
Let's bow our heads. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this wonderful day, and thank you for the opportunity to serve the great residents of the village of Tequesta. Be with us as we're all standing up here to recognize that we need to be good stewards of other people's monies, and give us the wisdom and guidance to continue to do that, and be grateful for the great country that we live in after celebrating 250 years, and the great state of Florida, and the great county, and obviously this great village. In your name we pray, amen. Amen. Let's stand for pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All right, we'll start off with our presentations tonight. In the first one, we have a very special guest with us here today. We have the Palm Beach County Clerk and Comptroller, Mike Caruso. He is going to talk about some of the initiatives that they've been doing, as well as some local community scams to educate us about.
That's right. Thank you, Mayor Young, Vice Mayor Painter, and council members of the great village of Tequesta. I like that. That was great. I was appointed clerk of court back in August of 2025, and I came here with five priorities that I wanted to set. One was to modernize the payable system in Palm Beach County. We've got $10 billion of bills we pay every year, and the first stages of it are all done by hand, if you can imagine. and nothing's computerized. So now we're computerized, we're rolling forward, and it's been amazing. Advocate for a statewide searchable database, one database where you can look up every county and all the activity. If I wanted to look something up about you, Mayor, I could go on this database and wouldn't have to go to 67 different counties to look up what you've done in Palm Beach. I mean, in Florida, and that's one of the things we're working on. That invest our money conservatively and soundly, as we heard earlier. You know, we need to be wise and careful with other people's money, and that's what we do. Protect our citizens against fraud and scams and abuse, and that's what I'm here to talk about tonight. You know, throughout Florida, people when I used to go into the city in Washington, D.C., where I grew up, Mom would say, watch out for pickpockets. And how many of us get pickpocketed? You know, a few of us, maybe, over our life, right? But today we face pickpocketing every single moment of every single day. I'm sure everybody here would say, you know, that they got a text, an email, or a phone call today from somebody trying to steal their money. And so we're you know, we hear it, it's all day long. And so, you know, they're professionals too. They try to scare us. They try to create a sense of urgency. They try to create credibility. They actually focus group their scripts. And I compared them as Nolan Ryan going up against us, a Little League player, you know. And if you know Nolan Ryan, baseball pitcher, 102 mile an hour fastball, and here we're Little League batters, you know, and they really have the advantage, and we've got to be careful. The FTC says that there was about $12.5 billion of fraud last year in the United States. But that's only fraud that was reported. We know we had about, if you take in consideration what they estimate to be the unreported fraud, it's more like 160 billion. And guess what state is number one for fraud? Florida, exactly. And just last year we had 22,000, in the last 3 quarters we had 22,000 cases of fraud where they pretend to be a government agency. And, you know, no longer do we get the scams where you've inherited 10 million from some Nigerian prince and all you got to do is pay 10,000 in fees, you know, to get the money. We're all tuned into that one. We know we're not falling for that, right? And then there's the one where you owe the IRS money, and if you only go to Home Depot and you get those, you know, prepaid cards, you can meet the guy in the parking lot who says he's an IRS agent, and we don't fall for those anymore, but they're good. And so I've been working with Rick Bradshaw, our sheriff, Alexia Cox, our state prosecutor, to create a task force where we work together. My job of that task force is to educate the public. That's why I'm here tonight on fraud and scams. And Alexia Cox, the sheriff arrests them, and Alexia prosecutes them. So it's a 1, 2, 3, and hopefully we're taking a bite out of that scam thing. So you know what I tell people is be aware, be smart, be alert, be safe. When in doubt, don't give your info out. And everybody, if anybody gets a phone call, a text, or an email at any time, and they eventually get to the point where they ask you for money, it's not maybe a scam. It's never maybe a scam. It's always a scam. Okay, so if they're texting, emailing, or calling, and they eventually get to the point where they ask you for a credit card or a debit card, it's always a scam. Even if it's your grandson calling, because they use AI. Our children, they go on, they put Facebook all the time, and these scammers know exactly where they are. They know they went on vacation in Mexico, and so they get their voice off of Facebook and whatever they're doing, and they use it against you, and that's a big one right now. Some of the scams that are hitting the clerk's office is one, they call you up and pretend to be me. Hi, I'm Mike Caruso, your clerk of court and comptroller of Palm Beach County, and I noticed just a courtesy call, you got a traffic citation 3 weeks ago. It's coming due tomorrow at 5 o'clock, urgency. But before I can continue, I got to confirm it's you. And we'll go, is this Mayor Young? You live in Tequesta at so-and-so street. And you go, yes, it is. And you were born on March 3rd, 1992. And yes, I was. And you have blue eyes and blonde hair. And yes, I am. And they get all that information from your driver's license, which becomes public record when you get a traffic citation. And you don't know that. Then they tell you about the traffic citation. So they've created credibility now. And then they use it. They eventually work your way into, we can take care of this today, and I'll transfer you to one of my deputy clerks, and they'll take your credit card. It's a scam. Don't fall for it. There's a jury duty scam. I'll get into it. They pretend they're a Palm Beach Sheriff Office deputy, like the deputy we had here a minute ago. I don't know where he went. Out the door. Okay. But they pretend to be a Palm Beach Sheriff deputy. And they call you up and say you missed, there's a warrant out for your arrest for failing to show up for jury duty. Now, I'm the one who does the jury duty summonses, okay? I promise you, if you don't show up, and I do, please show up for your civic duty of jury duty. I will not be issuing a warrant for your arrest and send a sheriff to you. But they were so good. I got this scam a week after I became clerk of court. August 25th, I got this, they called me. And I was shaking, because they were threatening to arrest me, okay? And there's a warrant out for and I'm sitting there thinking, I'm the clerk of court. This can't be. A week after I get appointed, what am I gonna tell the governor, And I so believed them, okay? I so believed them. I picked up my wife's phone and I called Rick Bradshaw, and he says, Mike, it's a scam, hang up. And I said, no, Rick, this is real. He says, Mike, if there's a warrant out for your arrest, do you really think I'd give you a courtesy call? I'd just come to your house, bang your door down, and put handcuffs on you and take you to Gun Club Road, So I went, okay, you're right, okay, and I hang up. But those would amount to a bad day, a bad week, maybe a bad month, depending on how much they steal from you, okay? But the big one is property deed fraud, okay? That's the big one. And that's where we got to be careful, because that'll ruin your life. You work your whole life paying off your home, and then somebody in an hour's time downloads a quitclaim deed, forges your signature to it, forges a notary to it, and files it in the courthouse. And if all the I's are dotted, all the T's are crossed, there's wet signature on what looks like a notary stamp, okay, that's valid, I have to file it as clerk of court under the current Florida statutes, which I'm trying to change, okay? But they do that within a week. They borrow against the house. Within a month, they sell the property for pennies, 60 cents on the dollar. And then you find out, and somebody knocks on your door, and they go, "Who are you?" And you say, "I'm the homeowner." And you go, "Well, we just closed on this property this morning. You need to leave." You go, "No, I live here. This is my house." "No, it's not anymore." And then you each call the police, and things go on after that. We want to stop that. And the clerk's office, we've got what we call the property fraud alert. You attach your email address to your property, and we will notify you in minutes. We will notify you immediately that there's been activity on your deed. And then we instruct you. So you'll get that email, and we'll notify you. You look it up, you go, I didn't transfer my property for $10 and other valuable consideration. Okay, I didn't do that. And what we'll do is we'll ask you to file a police report or sheriff's report, come into our office, we'll fill out an application for a quiet title, and then we'll lock down your property. And then we'll ask you to go hire an attorney and then get rid of that false deed that's on there. You basically got to show that it's a fraudulent notary stamp and that sort of thing. And then they'll take it off. But that's what we're dealing with today. And everybody wonders, well, how often does that happen, Mike or Clerk? There's 650,000 properties in Palm Beach County, 650,000. And I asked Alexia Cox, how often does it happen? She says, well, Mike, 2 years ago, we had 4 cases. I went, 4 cases out of 650,000? That's not a problem. That's a blip. And then I said, okay. And she says, well, a year ago, we had 32 cases. I go, well, unless you're one of the 32, it's pretty bad, but otherwise it's not really a big problem. Last year, Mike, we had September 30, 2025, 184 cases. This year, I anticipate we have 1,500 cases before the end of the fiscal year. And next year, 1 out of 80 properties will be stolen in Palm Beach County. We'll have around 7,000 or 8,000 cases. And that's why it's been my mission to get everybody to sign up for Property Fraud Alert. You go to mypalmbeachclerk.com/PFA. Takes you 2 minutes to attach your email address. You can attach yours, your spouse's, your kids, your attorney, your CPA, your realtor, whatever. And they'll all get notified. Let them know you're putting their email address on it, and you all get notified if there's something. Take care of it immediately. It's a big problem. So I appreciate y'all inviting me here tonight. Just remember, it's mypalmbeachclerk.com/PFA. And if you have any questions, I'm here for you.
All right, thank you. Council, do you have any comments or questions for the clerk and comptroller?
Just thanks, Mike, for being here. Appreciate you coming up to our little part of the county. And I recently I have that PFA.
Oh, good.
I put my house into a trust, and the day it was recorded, like you said, by about 9:02 a.m., I got the text and the email. So it does work. It's
That
very
there's been activity on your property. Because I would imagine thank you, Councilmember. I would imagine most of us don't go on a weekly basis onto the county site to see if our property deed is still in our name. Most people never look at it, and so it's a good thing to do now.
It works. Thank you.
Yeah, we're about 150,000 of the 650,000 properties since I started making it a priority have signed up. 150,000, so we're about a quarter of the way there, and we got 3/4 or more to go. So we're going to keep at it.
Are those property fraud cases ever resolved, or no?
Oh yeah, I mean they catch bad guys and they lock them up, but that's just the aftermath. That's not the bad part. It's I'll give you an example. We just resolved one lady 8 years ago. She had her property stolen. 8 years ago, she just got her property back 2 months ago. Cost her $150,000 in legal fees, and she didn't even get to live in it during that time. Can you imagine? Paying the taxes every year.
No, I support the proactiveness. I was just curious.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
family, I mean, we've been down.
Our state prosecutor is dialed in on this one. I promise you that she is very active in this.
Roger
Yeah.
that.
Great question.
I appreciate you coming out. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
I really appreciate it. I just did that property fraud alert in about 30 seconds.
You what?
I did the property fraud alert.
You just did it right now?
30 seconds.
30 seconds to do it.
So you know it's not hard.
Yeah, save your own home. Sleep tonight. It takes 30 seconds. Yeah, and if you don't, if you have trouble doing it, because not all of us are as good as you on the computer, you're welcome to call me. My cell phone number is 561-702-9319. And I've got flyers over here that say property fraud alert, and they'll walk you through how to sign up and all that. But if you get there and next Sunday you meant to do it, and then you're on there next Sunday and you can't figure out how to attach your email address to it, just text me and I'll have one of my staff call you up, and it literally will take them a minute, and we get people signed up like that all the time.
And you had to enter your address, right? Your house. So
and parcel number.
So I have this is like a technical question. So if you can't answer it tonight, maybe you could follow up with our office.
Okay.
But Tequesta is unique, where sometimes when we say you're purchasing something online, it will auto-populate an update saying Jupiter. So for the fraud alert, should we put in both the address listed as Tequesta and then also enter it as Jupiter too? Or this is a total weird technicality that might be very unique to Tequesta. But I just know that because we get emails from residents, how come sometimes my address is Jupiter and it's a federal post office situation? We've reached out. There's nothing we can do.
Wow.
Very unique. I just from your viewpoint, should we be entering both the Tequesta address and also list it with Jupiter?
Here's what happens when you register your email address. If any one thing on that site. Okay, property fraud alert. If any one thing, your name matches, your address matches, and even the numbers in the street name alone, if it matches, you're going to get notified. And so if you had Tequesta or you had Jupiter, whichever one the county has it under, it's going to match. It's going to match up. And then there's a property locator number. If that matches, you're going to get notified.
Okay.
Yes. And understand that every time something happens, okay, like transferring it to a trust, it's not always fraud. You meant to do that, but you say, great, now I know I did it all, it got recorded and all that, in which you take it to the courthouse and file. You wonder, did it really you'll get notification of that. It could be a satisfaction of mortgage by your Bank of America or whatever. That's a good thing. But if it's the property that you live in being transferred for $10, another valuable consideration, and you didn't do it, you're going to see that too. And do not put it off a day. Do not put it off a week. Do it immediately. Call us.
Fantastic. Thank you for that service that you provide. And thank you for all the work you've done to modernize your department and for everything you're doing to keep our community safe. We really appreciate you coming here tonight.
Well, good. Yeah, and we're going to have dinner over at Utiki, so.
Nice. Enjoy. Beautiful spot.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. All right, moving on to our second presentation, Proclamation designating July as Parks and Recreation Month.
Whereas Parks and Recreation is an integral part of communities throughout this country, including the village of Tequesta. Whereas Parks and Recreation promotes health and wellness, improving the physical and mental health of people who live near parks. Whereas Parks and Recreation promotes time spent in nature, which positively impacts mental health by increasing cognitive performance and well-being and alleviating illnesses such as depression, attention deficit disorders, and Alzheimer's. Whereas Parks and Recreation encourages physical activities by providing space for popular sports, hiking, trails, swimming pools, and many other activities designed to promote active lifestyles. Whereas Parks and Recreation programming and education activities such as out-of-school time programming, youth sports, and environmental education are critical to childhood development. Whereas Parks and Recreation increases a community's economic prosperity through increased property values, expansion of the local tax base, increased tourism, the attraction and retention of businesses, and crime reduction. And whereas Parks and Recreation is fundamental to the environmental well-being of our community. Whereas Parks and Recreation is essential and adaptable infrastructure that makes our communities resilient in the face of natural disasters and climate change. And whereas our parks and natural recreation areas ensure the ecological beauty of our community and provide a place for children and adults to connect with nature and recreate outdoors. Whereas the U.S. House of Representatives has designated July as Parks and Recreation Month. And whereas the Village of Tequesta recognizes the benefits from Parks and Recreation resources, now there be it resolved by the Village Council that July is recognized as Parks and Recreation Month in the Village of Tequesta.
Thank you, Lori, and I think Greg is here to accept the proclamation today, and we even have Peter from Gelona in the audience today too. But I'm sure I speak on behalf of the council. Greg, to you and your department, thank you for everything you guys do. I know you're beloved by our residents and our businesses, and you guys create such a sense of community here. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Sorry it was so long, I wrote that whole thing.
I was getting tired reading it.
I was thinking about it.
All right, is there a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda?
So moved.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, on to communications from citizens on items that are not on tonight's agenda. Lori, are there any cards?
Harold Taylor?
Harold Taylor, 13 Chapel Court here in Tequesta. A week ago, I called the Florida East Coast Railroad to ask them about quiet zones and what they may have done. They do have battery backup. They verified that, so they thought about that process. The person I talked to as their customer service rep thinks the way I do. Quiet zones ought to be outlawed at the federal level. What we don't know is, has anybody taken a look at their schematics and see how the system operates? We've got battery backup, but there must be relays or contactors or some other electrical equipment in their control panel that operates it. Do they have any battery backup for the mechanical and electrical properties of that equipment? That's something I think we need to know before you risk 6,000 lives here in Tequesta for a dozen chronic complainers. It doesn't make sense to me. I think it's absolutely immoral to try to police 12 or so people and risk 6,000. That's not right at all. Thank you.
Thank you, Harold. And Jeremy, is that something you guys can look into?
Sure.
Okay. I know Doug will probably assist. He's a resident expert now with the FAC. Thank you. Any other comment cards? No? Any other comments on items that are not on tonight's agenda? All right. Moving on to communications from council.
I have nothing.
I have nothing, Mayor.
Same here.
Same.
One quick item to bring up. FDOT recently had a public meeting for a feasibility study process they are in the process to connect the Sun Trail and portions of Jupiter on US 1. It does come into our jurisdiction. It stops at Tequesta Drive. I attended the virtual one last week, or actually I think it was Monday. Where's Jay? I saw Jay. There, you attended in person. It was Monday, right? Monday. And my days are blurry at this point. But since it does come into our jurisdiction, and they talked about, partnering with municipalities if they have other projects planned for that specific area, and since we do have our commercial corridor plan, I know adding shade trees was important to us. I thought it might warrant them coming to a workshop so we can learn more, educate our public, and see if there's any opportunities to work with them during this project. Okay, great. So we'll reach out and invite them to our next workshop. Perfect. Thank you. All right, on to standing reports. Village Attorney.
Nothing further tonight.
Thank you. Village Manager.
So just a couple updates. Work has begun on the Tequesta Bridge. I know it's been something we've been talking about for the last couple of years. We're estimating, I think there was 180 days total. It should have minor impacts as far as traffic, but you will see some workers out there doing some work on the bridge. Palm Beach County, we've talked about this a couple times. They pushed it back, but they will be resurfacing Old Dixie Highway starting July 27th. So they have put that date in place. It's approximately 15 days. It'll be during the daytime. There will be some temporary lane closures. They're shifting traffic patterns. They're supposed to maintain, traffic throughout. There will be some access to homes throughout and businesses, so that it shouldn't be any block, but just want to let you guys know that's coming July 27th, and we'll do all of our public notices that we typically do to inform everybody. Notwithstanding what Mr. Taylor just said, our quiet zone, we have received right-of-way and maintenance of traffic permit from Palm Beach County to cut the trees on Old Dixie Highway. That was part of our next step. So once we get those cleared and that work done, we'll officially submit notice of establishment, and that's a 21-day waiting period. And once that's done, then we can move forward with the quiet zone at Tequesta Drive. If you haven't drove by the Village Annex, the landscaping is nearly done. Yep. Looks great. Encourage you to do that. I think that's been a good improvement and will be a good improvement. And then July 20th, we do have our budget workshop. That's coming up on Monday.
Thank you. Council, any comments or questions for Jeremy?
No, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, Police Department.
Evening, Mayor, Council. Before me, you have the council updates for the month of June. Just a couple of highlights. Fingerprinting services, as I always remind our residents, it is no charge to our residents. For non-residents, it's $45, but our residents, it's for free. We had 8 that came in, 7 of them being residents. We did 2 car seat installations at the PD. We actually had 5 ride-along with community members for the month. The Nautical Club is still ongoing. It will finish on August 8th. August 8th, yep. It will be the last day, and it'll be at JD Park. It's going very, very well. We did Coffee with a Cop, and we have our next one scheduled for August 7th at Oceana. So we'll be there on August 7th. The summer camp, Parks and Rec has the summer camp going. We have our officers stop by there and speak with the kids every so often. It was Officer Terrell and Officer Pruitt that did it this time around. And then for Father's Day visit, I think I said it last time, I'm not sure, we had our explorers go out to Tequesta Terrace and Brookdale and provide flags to our fathers that are staying at those places. Other than that, what I really like to kind of talk on was August 1st, we have an event coming at Constitution Park, which is Gaming with the Guardians. We're going to be setting up a tournament of 2K, Madden, Super Smash Brothers, and Super Mario Kart. Sound right? Look at that. So we're capping it off at 32, so we're asking people to obviously sign up online. And at the same time, we'll be having a bike course for the younger kids right out in front, doing bike helmet fittings as well as food, lots of food, just so everybody knows. Former Councilman Vince Arena will be at the hot dog stand. He's very excited. Kurt spoke to him for about an hour and a half yesterday about it. So he's looking forward to that. We have a lot of people, Evo, Domino's, Rico's, that have donated and have been a part of that. So we're real excited. We just did a story about it yesterday with Mike Trim for WPTV. It should be on sometime next week. He said his son is part of the Nautical Club, and he was raving about the Nautical Club and what we have going on in the village. So he did ask any events that we had in the future to let him know, just so he could highlight it in the mornings for us while he's out there. So that's a great partnership. Other than that, that's all I have, unless anyone has any questions.
Thank you, Chief. Council, any comments or questions?
Thanks, Chief.
Is there another officer that's going to be competing? Because Officer Terrell claims he's going to beat everybody.
Well, in the newscast, not to give it away, I might have said that I need someone in the community to come out and beat these officers because they swear they're going to kill everyone. I have no idea what they're talking about, but they're saying there's some serious gamers among us. I didn't know.
I think y'all are underestimating the youth these days.
Oh, I know, and I'm hoping so, because if not, then I'm going to have to hear it from them. But yeah, Kurt is being shy right now, but he's one that plays until the morning hours. So yeah, our guys I think have been practicing, so we'll see. Okay. But we will have 4 categories. I think it's 12 to 17 for the kids, and then we'll have extra consoles that the officers will play along with the kids as well. So it should be a good event.
Chief, if you're in town, I'll challenge you to any game. You pick it, and it's on.
I am horrible in those video games. I am horrible.
You pick whichever one you want.
I'm good. No, thank you.
One item, Chief, if you could address, I know we've talked about this. There's a lot of buzz out there right now about Flock. The village does not use Flock. So just for the public, for education, can you explain what we do use, just to maybe, debunk any misinformation out there?
Yeah, so we've gotten a lot of records requests. I know that, Flock is like the hot topic across, not only in Florida, I think across the nation, just with a lot of their systems and some flaws that they find them. I really don't know much about their system, but I do know where ours differs. We have what's called Genetech. Brad and I early on talked about, when there was an early movement for Flock, as far as one of the appealing things were that municipalities were able to share information basically when they needed it. So if you're a part of Flock, like you could be on one side of the state or the other, you'd be able to check into their system. So with ours, which is positive, is ours is a closed loop system, which means someone can't just log into ours to look at our cameras. So unless we give them authorization, and Brad always sets that up, we give them a temporary PIN. If they're looking for an investigation, whether it be Martin County or someone local, that they're looking for something specific, we'll give them a PIN, give them a time limit of say, hey, this is good for a week. for your investigation. They have to provide a case number with that. We'll give them access. But other than that, no one can just chime into our LPRs to look at it. There's a lot of capabilities that Flock has that ours doesn't. And to be honest, Brad and I, early on, it was in 2018 when I got here, and we started having these conversations, things that are kind of coming to light now are conversations that we had in 2018 as far as just making sure that it was safe, because like any equipment, any tool, it's a tool, right? And it's like what you do with it. Not saying that someone's doing good or wrong with it, but it's just a tool. Our officers know that even when you check something through our ALPR, you still have to verify if the information is legitimate. Whether it pops up that a tag is not registered, we still can run it through Northcom, who advise us it is or it may not be, because sometimes you never want to take the chance where the system may not update it. It's supposed to update, and and you always say that, but we always tell our officers, verify that. It's a tool, it is not an end-all be-all, so you have to be mindful of that with any type of system. So that's how our officers use it, but the major thing with Brad and I was, in our area especially, when we got here, everyone was, at the time, it was vigilant, and then it went to Flock. People were looking at it, and we just felt that for our system and what we need from it, I think this was our best course was Genetech. We don't give access unless, again, you ask for it, and it's on a temporary basis. So.
Great, thank you for addressing that, appreciate it. All right, fire department.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Before I start, I just want to recognize Deputy Chief Steve Shaw from Jupiter Fire Rescue. He came here to support us in our consent mutual aid agreement. And it's important to us. I've known Steve for 30 years, and in their starting with their own fire department, us to be able to help them in any way we can. So it's a good partnership, and we're going to be doing some training moving forward and really getting to work with them a lot. So it's going to be a great thing for us. Before you have my standing report, my normal meetings that I go to every month. A little light this month. We did have Palm Beach North Chamber of Commerce, where we honored Andre Dodd again. Like I said, it's the year of Andre, and this is his second award of probably 3. We have had our Knox safes delivered, which is going to put us in compliance with the DEA. They're being installed in our trucks. Probably 2 of them are already there. I'm sorry, I'm bouncing around a little bit. We have also been, that's a grant. Our Lucas device for CPR has been awarded through a grant, and it has been delivered. And you will see me a lot tonight, so I'm going to keep this very brief. I have a lot of things on the agenda. I would like to recognize one other person. We're doing that training at Tequesta Country Club right before they start the demolition on it. And Mr. Brandenburg is here, and I just want to say thank you to him, because he's given us an opportunity that we don't normally get, to work in a live building and really tear it up before they knock it down. So you're all invited. It is August 1st through August 9th. I would come out in the morning before it really gets hot outside. And we did a walkthrough the other day, and it's going to be an amazing 9 days. We're going to be working with Jupiter, Palm Beach County, Martin County, Palm Beach Gardens, and North Palm have all been invited, and we've heard back from just about everybody. There will be no impact to the village. Traffic-wise, there will be no live smoke. It'll all be Hollywood smoke, so you probably won't even know we're there unless they see a few fire trucks from outside the municipality cruising around on Tequesta Drive. So we just completed a BLS ACL instructor course for about 12 people, and so that means over half of our department is able to teach CPR to the public, and we've already reached out to JIC, and we're going to be certifying their entire police department coming up here really soon. So we're strengthening that relationship as well. That's all I have for now, because like I said, you will see me quite a bit tonight. Does anyone have any questions?
Council, any comments or questions for the chief?
Thank you, Chief.
No questions, but that's always good to know if you guys are either doing a training on the river or at a building like that, because it is a small town. Even if one officer car goes flying down the street, that alerts residents like, "Ooh, something big must be going on."
I was told that immediately when I said we were training. They're like, "Okay, we need all the information, so we know exactly what you guys are doing."
I appreciate that, because then
no
when we start getting phone calls too, like, "What's going down? Is everything okay?"
There's smoke coming out of the club.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. So
I'm good, thank you.
So did you say that people can actually come watch?
oh yeah,
Ah,
oh yeah,
my son
100%.
would love that. Okay.
Yeah, like I said, the mornings are probably going to be better just because it's going to get so hot after lunch. They're going to go from 8 to noon. They're going to take an hour break, and then they're going to go from 1 to 5.
So where would spectators be watching from? Like
I can probably have you in the building to where there is no, it's Hollywood smoke, which you can breathe in, but I could probably have you pretty close to the action.
Could kids come in?
What's that?
Kids?
I would have them outside probably.
Okay, all
Yeah.
right. Asking for.
But they're going to simulate some fire responses, and we'll be able to work on communications with the other departments, stuff that you don't get to train on a lot, because there's always an issue with communications and logistics. Do hoses fit together? Do air packs work together if you have a man down? Do the radios talk to each other the right way on different channels? So these are things that we don't get to practice all the time until it's game day, and that's when you don't want to find out that you're doing it wrong. So,
That's cool. You
Yeah.
said August 1st through the 9th?
yes, sir.
Thank you.
I don't have anything. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Utilities Department.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council. Glad to see you tonight. Allison Berg, Utilities Director. Before you, you have my update for the month. A couple items to highlight or that have changed since the update. We have completed our lead and copper testing, which we're required to do every 3 years. The 90th percentile came back, and we are in compliance with the lead and copper rule. Juan Rivas, our capital improvement project manager, did receive his PMP certification, so we're really proud of him. Next week, we will be getting our stormwater pipelining, so we'll get notices out to any affected customers nearby that there'll be some trucks in the area to line some of those pipes. We have received 2 of the 3 vehicles that we budgeted for this year, and our 3rd will be coming tomorrow, so we're happy to get all of those in. Water Main 1, we're still completing final restoration. We're staying on top of the contractor, and they will be completing road striping at the end of the month along Tequesta Drive. There are still a handful of items on their final restoration list that need to be completed, so they are not done yet. In Water Main 2, we are completing Palm Beach County right-of-way permitting and Army Corps of Engineering permitting. Palm Beach County coordination for resurfacing was completed, so they're going to wait on resurfacing until Beach Road until we're done with the project. So that's kind of held up the right-of-way permitting a little bit, but happy to make sure that we're not going and tearing up a road that they just resurfaced. And with that, you have my update.
Allison, council, any comments or questions? Thank you. Okay, on to our regular agenda. We do not have any old business tonight, so on to the new business. Agenda item 14, request approval of an updated construction plan that's associated with site plan modification 08-25 for Tequesta Country Club. Jay?
Good evening, Jay Hupsch, Community Development Director. So back in February, when you approved the Tequesta Country Club, there was a construction plan there, and we promised that we'd bring it back to you if any, kind of substantive changes happened there. And the country club has made a few changes to their phasing of construction, and so they've updated the construction plan, and we wanted to get it before you just to make sure you're okay with it. The applicant, Zach Cicero, representing the country club, will start off, and then Meg's gonna finish up.
They have the PowerPoint. I don't need it.
The clicker's up there. You want a different one?
There we go. Well, thank you, Madam Mayor, Council, Mr. Manager, and thank you, Jay, for the introduction. My name is Zach Cicero with Cutler and Herring in Jupiter, Florida. I'm here on behalf of Tequesta Country Club. We were last here in February. Jay gave the context. I was going to bring that back up, but we got approval for the project itself, the redevelopment of the club, just for anyone that wasn't privy to that project's approval. And now we're coming back to show you the changes we've made to the construction management plan. Really, you all seem to have loved the project itself. You just didn't exactly love how we were going about the construction. It's very important in people's lives. It's 2 years of people's lives with construction going on this corridor here. So we wanted to make sure that we got this piece right. And I really think we did. I think you'll be very pleased with these changes that we've made here. So I'll break this presentation up into comparing the old plan to showing you what we've done new. And I'll skip over here to the old plan. So this is the plan that you saw back in February. We were trying to do a lot of things all at the same time. We were keeping the club open through the entire duration of the construction process, and we were splitting the construction up into 2 phases. We were doing all of the maintenance buildings first, After the maintenance buildings were done, we were then knocking down the clubhouse and rebuilding that, all while the club is still operating, golf is still operating. And that's not to mention the cart storage on the east parking lot, which of course we had concerns with the resident there. We have planted that hedge that we've agreed upon, that 8-foot clusia hedge, so that is in place now, and it'll take a little bit to grow thick and full, but that is in place. So there was a lot of, I wouldn't say a lot of concerns, but this plan was kind of half-baked when we brought it to you. Now we've made a lot of changes and we fixed all of those issues. So I'll split this up into two halves. This is for the next year of construction here. So basically starting today until August 2027, the club will shut down entirely. The only people that will remain at the club are the maintenance crew, just to maintain the course, but there will be no golf available whatsoever. And we're going to construct all of these buildings all at one time. So all of the maintenance facilities and the clubhouse and the cart barn, everything will be done all at one time. And it will finish in August 2027, except for two small pieces. But during this time, there will be no activity whatsoever on the east parking lot, which I know was a big concern last time. We've just eliminated that entirely this time. Now, what happens after August 2027? So the only construction to finish is the interior of the clubhouse. So the clubhouse building will actually be up. It'll look great from the road, but it'll be the interior and probably the patio in the back that we'll be working on. Also the pickleball courts, that will be the last to be constructed. So starting in August 2027, we're gonna reopen golf. So what will happen with that is members or guests will park on the east parking lot. You can see it in orange there highlighted. And the club will actually provide a shuttle service from their car across the parking lot to the temporary pro shop right behind the cart barn. The cart barn will already be constructed at this time, so they'll already have their carts. We won't need to store them in a temporary facility like we were proposing last time. And just for the record, we did contact that neighbor adjacent to the temporary pro shop. He is all on board with this. I'm sure the club can provide some written consent or something along those lines, but he's completely on board and supportive of this project. So, but August 2027, it'll take about 8 months to get to final completion of everything. So I really think you'll be pleased with this plan. I'm hoping that you are. I think we made a lot of major changes. This slide just summarizes pretty much everything I just said on the construction, but we anticipate being done in 2027, early 2028 at the latest. We do have Black Diamond General Contractors working as a general contractor on this project. They're absolutely first class. They keep a very strict deadline. And of course, when I say when we made all these changes, I'm not talking about me at all. I'm just here to present to you this project. It's Rick Brandenburg and Lori Hood behind me that were really the masterminds of making these changes, and I think really making everything right. We wanted to make everything as effective and efficient for the construction timeline, but also for the community as a whole, because this is such an important site in the village. So with that being said, happy to answer any questions or any additional clarification items. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Jay, do you want to do your presentation and then we'll open it for discussion, or what do you think is best?
That could be quick.
Okay. Good evening, Council. Zach, thank you for the wonderful presentation. I honestly don't know if I have too much to add, but I put together just a brief summary for your review. So this is about the Tequesta Country Club and their updated construction plan. We know about the redevelopment project and how it was approved. The applicant is coming back due to updates in their construction timeline. Due to the approval document SPM 0825, there was a specific condition of approval that required the applicant to use the construction plan that was presented to council on February 12th. So they are coming back requesting an update to that plan. The biggest changes here, they are moving the construction plan and lay down from hole 10 to the main clubhouse and the chem storage facilities. Previously approved was 2 temporary structures to support construction activities. They are now requesting 3. The laydown area has changed from 2 laydowns to 1 main laydown at the clubhouse parking lot. And as Zach said, the east parking lot use remains the same as the approval. It is going to be for member parking only, no construction equipment or use there. And the construction entrance will remain off of Country Club Drive. So here was the previously approved location. Here's what the applicant is now requesting. We can see the construction access remains the same and the east parking lot use. Like I said, this is due to condition number 7 of SPM 0825. There are no changes proposed to the previously approved redevelopment program, so council's consideration is limited to the proposed revisions for the construction logistics plan. That was my presentation. Please let me know if you have any questions. Okay, thank you, Meg. Council, open it up for discussion.
I do not. Thank you to the applicant and everybody. Thank you.
No questions in particular. Again, just appreciate your partnership and also working with other departments, letting them use the property for good use, and talking with the neighbors that are surrounding the actual club, because that's a big deal. So I appreciate you just keeping that communication open and being good partners in the community.
I get to see my father more now, so it's not going to be able to play. So thank you.
Yeah, I know it's a bummer to have to close the course, but I actually think it makes a lot more sense from a logistics and sequencing standpoint, so all good. No comments.
I'm assuming Wayne has reviewed this and okay. I mean, I do think I don't think council's ever opined on a construction plan before that I'm aware of. I don't know that we should get in the habit of requiring that. I think it's a little bit too in the weeds for us. We're not the experts at this. Our community development department and building department are. So Wayne has reviewed. I thought I saw him here, but he must not be here. So he's good. Okay, and then I'm just curious. Does a new phasing and layout plan, is that reducing the construction schedule? Because if anything, that's a good thing. If it might reduce the overall schedule and the impact to the.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, it actually shortens the schedule, so we're just under 2 years now.
Yeah, so it's a good thing.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Any comment cards? No? Any public comment? All right, with that, is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Agenda item 15, ordinance number 10-26, which is a first reading to update our artificial turf ordinance to align with state law.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance 1026, ordinance of the Village Council, Village of Tequesta, Florida, amending Chapter 78, zoning, Article 9, supplemental regulations, Section 78-396.5, artificial turf/synthetic grass, to conform the ordinance with new rules adopted by the State of Florida Department of Environmental Protection related to artificial turf, providing each and every other section, subsection of Chapter 78 shall remain in full force and effect as previously adopted, providing for conflicts, severability, authority to codify effective date, and for other purposes.
Good evening, Jay Hupsch here to present ordinance 1026. So this is kind of a state mandate. Goes back to the village in 2023. We adopted ordinance 1123, which established regulations for the installation of artificial turf and synthetic grass in the village. I think most of you were on council when this was adopted, so you may recall, but just a quick refresher. Artificial turf must be concealed from the right-of-way. It may only be placed in the front yard as a decorative grid design in a driveway or walkway. It's prohibited in the right-of-way, and it can only comprise up to 10% of the required landscape area on a lot. And then there are specific installation and material standards. During the 2025 legislative session, the Florida legislature adopted House Bill 683, known as the Construction Regulations Bill, which created section of the Florida statutes. And the legislation directed the DEP to establish statewide standards for synthetic turf installations on single-family properties 1 acre or less. So the DEP worked for some time after that to workshop these new standards. I think the first draft of it came out in August of last year, and then it finally got adopted on 5/9 of 2026. So kind of a long process, but finally got adopted, and that's why this is now in front of you. Just to be clear, this only pertains to single-family properties that are 1 acre or less. So we still retain regulatory authority over artificial turf installations on properties larger than 1 acre, 2-family, multifamily, commercial, mixed-use developments, public rights-of-way, and other locations that aren't exempted here. So we're really just bringing our existing artificial turf regulations into compliance with the state's regulations. There's nothing new here. It's just simply adopting what the state is requiring us to do. Interestingly, though, the DEP did create a few provisions that are actually stronger than what was in our code. So they have, I think, which is a good regulation here, which is that artificial turf cannot be installed within 10 feet of any natural or man-made water body. So it creates a little bit of a buffer there so that that water is not draining directly into water bodies off of artificial turf. It says artificial turf can't have PFAS. It's a good thing. Clarifies that it must be permeable and that the subgrade cannot be overly compacted. Sometimes artificial turf gets so compacted that it doesn't even perk into the water table. And then it also says that stormwater runoff shall not go onto adjacent properties, and that in-ground irrigation shall not be used to irrigate artificial turf. At the Planning and Zoning Boarding meeting in June, they voted 5-0 to recommend approval to council. They did add a condition to clarify something related to the stormwater runoff. There is some language there from the DEP regulations that said artificial turf must be designed and installed to prevent pooling or an increase in the stormwater runoff volume, direction, or rates to adjacent properties, and where possible, the runoff shall be directed to on-site pervious areas. They wanted to make sure that nothing was leaving the site, that there was a little bit of wiggle room in the state's language. So they made a recommendation that if it was feasible, that we should clarify that artificial turf has to meet our drainage standards in our stormwater management practices manual. So spoke with the attorneys, village attorneys after the meeting. They confirmed we can add that. So just a point of clarification, the PZB's recommendation is to add to an existing condition to say artificial turf installation shall utilize the village's stormwater management practices manual in accordance with our code. With that, happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Jay. Council?
While I'm okay with the recommendation from P&Z, I think it's sad and yet another example of just the attack on local municipalities and just the abuse of home rule and just how we're losing control of that. I like what we had in place before, and now we're told we have to do this. I'm grateful that they did strengthen some of that language that is in there is good. I'm glad they said no PFAS involved after what we're having to do and the expense that we're having to do. But I just think it's sad because it's just an attack on home rule, but I'm okay with what's been presented.
No questions.
I'm good, thank you.
Good. Thank you.
State preemption. I don't have any questions either. Any comment cards? No. Any public comment? Okay, so there should be a motion to approve or deny, and then also if the P&Z clause, if we want to add that, it should be part of the motion as well. If someone would like to make a motion.
I'll make a motion
With the P&Z?
with the P&Z
To approve.
recommendation.
I'll second that.
Right. All in favor? Aye.
Thank you, council.
Moving on, agenda item 16, resolution number 12-26 to update our refuse, recycling, and yard waste collection rates.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council. It's a pleasure to be here. This has to do with the waste management contract that we signed 2 years ago. This is going to be our third year into the process. They have a clause that says they'll receive CPI for water, sewer, and trash collection. So we use that CPI this year, and it is capped at 5.75. This year it's at 4.71. This is a complete pass-through to waste management for their services. It equates to $11.91 a year, and it brings us up to $264.87 a year for 2-day-a-week collection.
Thank you, Jeff. Council, any comments or questions?
I'm not.
No questions.
No, thank you.
Any comment cards? No? Any public comment? All right, is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Agenda item 17, consider the use of the asset forfeitures to purchase and install boat lift and security camera on the BLM property, Gelona.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. With me, before I start, I have Peter DeWitt, who is the program manager for the BLM. and it's been a great partners from the onset. How long has it been now? 2020? Even before. A long time. But great partner, and this involves the BLM. So before you have a memorandum to consider the use of asset forfeitures, our special law enforcement fund, to purchase and install a boat lift and a security camera at the Bureau of Land Management's Jupiter and Lighthouse Outstanding Natural Area. We are requesting $60,000 at this time. We do currently have $442,000 in our asset forfeiture special law enforcement fund at this time, so we still obviously have money in there for other things. This is a project that we're doing in conjunction with Peter. As you all know, they have been renovating the BLM property for quite some time, and we had an opportunity to have an area where we could put our police boat in there and put a boat lift. So those of you that are on boats a lot more than I am, I'm never on one, know to get it off the water so it's not as dirty. We're not maintaining it as much as we usually are now and painting the bottom every so often. But it gave us an opportunity as well as quick deployment from that area. Like I said, we have a great partnership. What we wanted to also do, speaking with Brad, is to put a camera out there, obviously, motion or 24, however we set it up, just to make sure, obviously, for safety concerns. But we asked for $60,000. The project comes out to, for the boat lift, over $80,000, and Peter was able, through the renovation of the BLM, to provide $40,000 towards the cost. So we actually only, our end for the boat lift itself was $40,142, and that's what we're asking for, and then the camera. So that price comes out to $50,200, and we just left in there for incidentals in case anything, has to be changed and what have you. And we also will have water on there to help clean the boat when we get it out of the water. So, Peter wants to say anything? Peter?
Well, thank you for having us, and it's been a pleasure working with the police department here in Tequesta on this project. The commitment of the government was to provide the actual pilings for the boat lift. We explored several options, including concrete pilings. The dock itself, due to the weight of the boats that would be using it, does have concrete pilings, but it was just cost prohibitive for the boat lift itself, which is completely detached from the dock to have that. We didn't plan on putting full electricity down there, although there was going to be water, so BLM was able to make that commitment of $40,000 to fund a large portion of getting the electrical connections down there. And obviously using our on-contract contractor to do the work is far more efficient than going through a separate process. So although there's probably a few dollars of savings by putting it out to open bid, that process itself could take in excess of another year. So this gets it done and completed by December 3rd. Before, happy to take any questions specifically about the dock or the boat lift.
Thank you. Council?
I have none. Thank you for being a great partner.
Who do we thank for building up that asset forfeiture amount? Is that Officer Eric or Scout? Or both?
Both.
Okay, well, thank you out to them.
And Detective Loney, you got to throw Mike in.
Yeah, maybe they deserve a little boat ride after this.
He goes out on
Yeah,
the boat.
see, he does go on the boat.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, maybe a little pup cup on the way out. Yeah.
Pup cup.
Are there going to be any other boats on this dock?
No, the dock itself is for permitted use only, and it's short-term use, so maybe a water taxi picking up passengers or a bride who wants to travel on a small vessel across to the Pelican Club. This would be the only boat that was permanently there, and it's going to be situated in a location where it's not interrupted by those uses, continuous access for boarding the boat and using the lift at all times.
And where it's located, is there a current issue or?
So there is a 7 to 9 knot current, depending on time of year in that location. The boat lift, after talking with engineers, boating experts, has been situated in the best possible place for ease of ingress and access to the boat lift itself, and where the boat lift would sustain the least damage from the currents with a less experienced captain.
Can it come from both directions?
No, it can
No,
only
just
come
from the one.
facing towards the inland.
Okay. Thank you for everything that you're doing for us.
Yeah, likewise, thank you.
Yeah, I'll just echo that. Thank you for your long-standing partnership and for being able to help with some of the funding towards this. I think it's always great when you have multi-jurisdictional coordination, hence why I wanted FDOT to come, because that just, it's better for the public, right? There's usually cost savings and things get done that might not would have happened otherwise. So thank you. My only question is, well, you did say they are bringing water. That was one of my questions, because I know those pedestals, sometimes you can get a hose bib on that. So you'll need that out there for sure. And then what about the long-term maintenance? Are we just responsible for the lift itself? Are we responsible for the pier maintenance as well? I can't remember the layout, if it's like a finger dock that goes out to the boat lift or if it's just off the main dock. But overall, because we should just, if we are responsible for maintenance, we just want to plan for those costs.
So you would not have any maintenance of the dock itself, and so all of the dock, the boardwalk connecting it would be federally maintained. You would have maintenance for the security camera and the lift itself.
Just simply the equipment we're selling. Perfect. Okay. Thank you. All right, any public comment cards? No? Any public comment? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Agenda item 18, and do we have Brad on? Has he been hanging out on Zoom? Hi, Brad. Okay. He's on vacation. Thank you for joining us tonight. Agenda item 18, consider approval of early renewal of the Palo Alto firewall servicing license.
Yeah, hey, sorry, can you hear me?
Hold on, it's very loud.
Now try.
Sorry, one second. Let me trying to get to a better place. It's not a very conducive location. But here, this should be better. Can you guys hear me okay?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Loud.
Okay. Yeah, so basically, I'll try to keep it short. The Palo Alto is our firewall vendor. This is an obligatory purchase. I reached out to them and asked if there's a way that we could save money by engaging in a longer commitment like we did last time. Not only did they agree to that, but they also said if you can get it done before their end of fiscal year, they'll apply an additional discount. So this is basically a $20,000 swing over 3 years to benefit us. We have to do it anyway as long as we have Palo Alto hardware. So this is just a way to push the purchase forward and save money over the long term.
Great. Thank you, Brad. Council, any comments or questions?
No questions.
Done. Thank you, Brad.
Yeah, Brad, thank you for just being proactive on this and saving us some money in the long run.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Thanks for your consideration.
Any comment cards? No. Any public comment? All right. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Brad. Agenda item 19, resolution number 09-26, declaring and memorializing council's action regarding the census water meters that were not reading properly.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council. Allisonburg Utilities Director. Before you tonight is a resolution related to the event that was presented to you at the council workshop on June 1st, 2026. Just a reminder, roughly 66 water meters were installed between 2022 and 2026 that were inadvertently returned and installed with a 1,000 gallon resolution rather than the required 1 gallon resolution. This basically means that whenever a customer used 1,000 gallons, it would send us that they only used 1 gallon. So that resulted in some incorrect billing over those years. Legally, we're allowed to back bill up to 1 year. The billing alternatives that were presented at that workshop were back bill the affected customers using the applicable tiered water rates, back bill the affected customers using the lowest tier water rates, or forego back billing and continue billing customers prospectively using the appropriate tiered rates. So following that discussion, the majority consensus was to proceed with option 3. So that is the option that is being presented to you tonight to make a decision on. And I will take any questions.
Thank you. Council, any questions?
I do. Have we made any attempt since this occurred to collect or to notify the people?
As soon as it happened, we did notify residents that they would be receiving water bills that were higher than what they had noticed because we started billing them immediately at the appropriate tiered rates. That communication to them was that we are working towards deciding the path forward on how we would go about back billing. We did not try to collect any previous revenue because we weren't sure the decision that we were going to go from there. So we haven't tried to receive any of that revenue. But we did begin billing at the appropriate rates as soon as we noticed and notified those residents.
So the only reason their bill went up was to bill them the correct amount. It wasn't to try to recover anything. And we have made no effort to communicate with them. Okay, well, I'm disappointed that we haven't. I think with what we're faced with, potentially in November, losing up to $3.1 million or $3.5 million, whatever that number is, I think we should be looking at everything, and I'm disappointed that we are not even going to try to ask to say, because I guarantee you, if it was a power bill, a gas bill, knowing those providers, when you receive the service, you should pay for it. And we're only trying to collect 1 year, not the 3. So I'm disappointed in that we're not going to try something, and I stated that. I was I think the lone dissenting person during the last discussion of this. So I remain the same with that. I'm just disappointed that we haven't tried to collect any money, because there's some people, we could get $5,000. You never know what we could get, and we're electing not to try anything. So I'm disappointed in that, but thank you for the presentation.
No questions.
Yep, no questions.
None, thank you.
No. Any comment cards? No. Any public comment? No. All right, is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Agenda item 20, resolution number 13-26, which is adopting a revised merit pay policy for non-bargaining unit employees.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council. Thank you for having me this evening. This evening, we're talking about the Career and Service Merit Award Program that we currently have for our non-union employees. It provides an annual lump sum payment based on years of service and a satisfactory performance review. Following a review of the Florida state statutes and related attorney general opinions regarding extra compensation and employee incentive programs, staff has evaluated alternative compensation structures that more clearly align with the Florida law and modern public safety compensation practices. Florida law generally prohibits retroactive bonuses or extra compensation based on services that have been rendered unless the compensation is provided pursuant to pre-established performance-based compensation programs adopted in advance by the governing body. Our current program is based on years of service, like a longevity program. We previously tied it to performance, in which our employees receive a performance bonus as long as they have a satisfactory review, but our options are satisfactory versus unsatisfactory. So the other obstacle that we are presenting tonight is that the program was never formally adopted by the council. So as a result, we are recommending the implementation of a revised merit program policy that would eliminate the longevity or the years of service-based payments and instead establish a performance-based incentive comp program tied directly to annual bonus evaluations. In this framework and based on previous feedback at our workshop, this merit program would be lump sum payments based solely on performance. It would be tiered merit levels depending on performance achieved. So you would have to at least meet expectations or exceed expectations. It would be for part-time, full-time, and directors. It has been reviewed by legal and does meet the requirements for the program and state law. And fiscally, it would be neutral compared to last year. We do not expect any increase nor any significant increases in the future. And do you have any questions?
Thank you. Council, any comments or questions?
Let me add one thing too. You know, this is a program that it is specific on budget. So if we do have future budget considerations or challenges, this is something that can be considered and will be considered. So just FYI, it's not, you were passing it and it's guaranteed, so.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you for that. I know you've put a lot of time and effort into this, and I've always felt that we need to reward our employees, and sometimes you want to keep them around with some of these different longevity bonuses and things. So I'm in favor of this, and thank you for the hard work on it.
No more questions since the last workshop.
I love it, thank you.
Yeah, that's great, thank you.
No comment. Any public comment cards? No. Any public comment? All right, is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Catherine. Agenda item 21, ordinance number 09-26, which is a first reading for right-of-way regulations.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance 0926, ordinance of the Village Council, Village of Tequesta, Florida, amending Code of Ordinances, Chapter 63, Right-of-Way Regulations, Article 1 in general, creating a new village rights-of-way policy for all Village of Tequesta rights-of-way, adopting and codifying same into the Village's Code of Ordinances, amending Chapter 78 zoning, at Section 78704, control of access to streets, to conform that provision to the new right-of-way provisions, providing that each and every other section and subsection of Chapters 63 and 78 shall remain in full force and effect as previously adopted, providing conflicts clause, severability clause, authority to codify effective date, and for other purposes.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Village Council, Doug Chambers, Public Works Director. This is the first reading of ordinance number 0926, right-of-way regulations. I have a very short presentation and can take any questions that council may have. So again, the purpose is to create a clear and consistent right-of-way standards, protect drainage, utilities, sidewalks, roadways, and public safety, clarify permitting, maintenance, and allowable improvements, and provide comprehensive set of village regulations. We've presented this at 3 separate workshops. The ordinance has been revised based on feedback that we've received from council, from residents, and staff's input. The proposed ordinance has been refined throughout the entire process. On June 23rd, I presented the ordinance to the Planning and Zoning Board. The board supported the proposed ordinance and voted 5-0 and recommended approval to the Village Council. The board, P&Z board, did have some requests, and that request was that we continue public education, and if this is adopted, staff will be sure to provide that information through the Friday news, the smoke signals, village website, and obviously throughout the entire permit process when somebody applies for a permit. And I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Doug.
You're
Council, open up for discussion.
I have some comments, Doug. Thank you. And thank you. I know you put a tremendous amount of work into this. Staff, management have, everybody has, so thank you. I'll try to keep them high level because I know a lot of information was sent out. I've said before, I think that if I want to get up in the middle of the night and I can't sleep, I should be able to read code and not have any questions. And I still have questions on this, and that's why I'm glad this is first reading. So some things, and I admittedly was not able to make my agenda review with Jeremy, so a lot of these things are coming out for the first time. I only communicated via email with him. But I know that right away we talk about lawful non-conforming, things like that, and that people's right-of-way current as they sit today, and if it's non-conforming by this, it's going to be lawful non-conforming, and we move forward, right?
Correct.
And the only time they'll have to change that is if it's permitted or something with a driveway or.
There's a modification to the property.
Right. In this first section, 63(2)(a), A1, says the following shall not be considered lawful non-conforming. So any installation consisting of, but not limited to, rock and gravel. So I can think of a few yards that have gravel in the right of way. So are they conforming? Are they legal non-conforming, or are they non-conforming and that gravel has to be removed?
They are non-conforming. And so I know a couple of properties that you're referring to. There are properties throughout the village where some folks have had some stones and rocks in front of their property for 10 years or more. The goal is not to issue a notice of violation to them if there's not a public safety concern, if it's not an obstruction to the stormwater system or underground utilities. This is pretty much the standard that we're going by, and it's when it creates a public safety hazard or interferes with drainage, visibility, access, or existing infrastructure.
Okay.
Now, if there's something new that's been out there and they've received notice from the building department, then we will follow that through.
Okay, so somebody that's been there for, say, 10 years.
Right. We're not looking at that. However, when that homeowner makes a modification to the property, they'll have to conform if this is approved.
Village approved products. So village can plant in the right of way where, if I read this, we can design, approve, and install materials, shrubs within the public right of way as approved village project or beautification program, what would be an example of that, why we would plant in right away where we would do something that we're telling residents that they can't do?
We have a perfect example of Tequesta Drive, a beautification project, where we were enhancing the tree canopy on Tequesta Drive. The village, obviously, on the main arteries has a much more substantive right-of-way. There's a larger footprint, and so that would be an example of where the village may plant in the future some trees or some modifications, and then following engineered standards as far as how close we are to utilities, installing a root barrier, and all the others that apply.
And would that be consistent if somebody that, say, was on Tequesta Drive and wanted to put something else in a swale where the village has done something because they're within engineering requirements to, certain distance from the utilities? So would an individual, a homeowner, be able to come to the village and say, you guys just planted an oak tree in there or a palm tree or something, I want to do something on the other half of that, on the other side of that swale to balance it out? Is that something they can do or not?
If it meets the standard, yes.
So there's a standard where we define where we can't plant, but then we're allowing the ability for that to be overruled or overridden? This is the confusing part.
What you might be referring to, there are trees on Tequesta Drive, on Seabrook, on a lot of the main arteries where trees were planted in a very small footprint. And perhaps there should have been some more regard in where those were planted. Not on top of utilities, not on top of sidewalk. That's part of the reason we're here today, to talk about these things, right? Mm-hmm. And make the code uniform and provide some safety and some protection for those underground utilities and above ground utilities. So, I mean, we have, part of the presentation that I presented to the Planning Zoning Board was an example of water main break, sidewalk damage, where trees were planted directly on top of water mains, where they're planted right next to a piece of sidewalk, a section of sidewalk. That is not the goal. The goal is that the village applies these standards as well.
Okay. I see throughout there's opportunity for, I'll use the word exceptions by the building official or the designee within the village. So there will be some room if somebody comes in and said, this is what I want to do and why I want to do this. There's the ability for somebody to plant something that may be within the 3-foot limit or something, one of these multiple requirements that are in here. Mm-hmm. So there's the ability. And that is going to be done by who? Who will make that decision of this is okay, but that's not okay?
Well, we follow the guideline, right, in the code. And then the building permit application, the application goes to the building department. That's distributed to myself and typically utilities department for review the plans, review the scope of work. And then typically we'll meet with the homeowner and discuss it. For instance, this morning I got a call from a resident who's redoing their driveway and their landscaping, and they just wanted to understand what they can do, what the limitations are, what's acceptable. So I spent about 45 minutes on the property. I also informed them that if they decide to move forward, I would like to have a second meeting with their contractor before they start construction. So the contractor, we don't have an issue with the homeowners. Most of the issue typically comes through the contractors, because they submit the permit. So I asked the homeowner, are you submitting the permit or is your contractor? Typically the contractor submits the permit, the homeowner doesn't go through that process. And then somebody in the office doesn't pass those documents and those conditions down to the field crew, and the field crew just moves forward. We're trying to eliminate that. So I always like to meet with the contractor and the homeowner pre-construction and go over the plans and the requirements. So to answer your question in short, it comes out to the Public Works Department and the Utilities Department.
Okay. There's a language in here that says that within 3 feet of the road of the side of the road, that 3 feet inward to the swale has to be grass.
The 3-foot
has to be
buffer
solid,
from the road.
right? And that is for what reason?
Number 1, for drainage, and number 2, to protect the road, lock in the road, and have an edge along the road, have a rooted edge.
Yeah. Would there be a chance, or is it reasonable to think that I don't know how far grass roots down. I don't know that, but are there occasions where there could be a row of impatiens or something that is low rooting, Florida native, non-invasive, something that could be there, but we're going to have just nothing but sod. The objective is to have nothing but sod from the road to 3 feet in to when the swale would start.
Yes, to protect the edge of the road, yes.
Okay. Why do we have to have straight row plantings? Why cannot there be a straight row planting? Why does it have to be offset? It seems like we're such a unique village, and I understand the need to clarify this and bring it all together. But it sounds like we're becoming an HOA. We're not becoming a unique, full of character village of Tequesta. We're going to have straight rows now. What's the purpose of a straight row?
Staggered planting?
Yeah. Why does it have to be staggered versus why can't it be staggered versus? We want a straight row or we want staggered? What do we want?
Staggered.
And why can't it?
In the flow line, we want staggered plantings, right? That allows for better flow in the flow line, in the swale.
Okay.
Rather than creating a wall with plantings planted straight across.
Okay. All right. Again, maybe I'm just not grasping this. I understand the exercise and what we're trying to do. I think I'm more confused now in reading this when we start out with, and maybe it's just me. I've read it over and over and over again. I've dissected it. I've marked up every paragraph, every word, and I just have more and more questions. I think it seems to me that we're doing things that we won't allow the resident to do, and it seems like we are becoming rigid and strict when Florida was a swampland at one point. And I just think that we're taking away from what could be considered unique, the ability to have a unique yard versus something that might look like an HOA. But that's just my concern right now. So that's it. That's all my comments.
Jeremy, could you pull up the P&Z slide? I'm not going to go through this whole presentation, but this was the presentation at the P&Z meeting. And so sometimes a picture is worth 1,000 words.
I don't know where you want to start. Do you have?
Oh, I don't have control here?
You do?
No.
Yeah, I'll get you control.
Thank you, sir. So here's an example of a property without a swale, right? So what happens? The water sits on the edge of the road. What typically happens to the road? This is Tequesta roadways. This is what it does to the roadway. This was Fairview East, Fairview West, Golfview Drive, Mars, Venus, you name it. This is what the roadways will look like, right? Let me go backwards here. This is the stormwater project, replacing stormwater in the right-of-way, right? We need access to the right-of-way to replace underground infrastructure, not just the utilities department, but Florida Power and Light, Comcast, Sprint, AT&T, Loxahatchee River District. We need access to the right-of-way. So if everybody's planted out into the right-of-way, it becomes very difficult to complete these projects. And when these projects are completed, if somebody has rocks and stones and trees and all these other elements in the right-of-way, the contractor in the village is not putting those back, right? We have a big project coming up next year with FP&L to underground in the country club community, right? Hopefully most of it can be bored, but there will be impacts to the right-of-way, in the village right-of-way in front of every home that's impacted by that project. Let's see if I have a couple other here I want to show you.
But didn't we?
When you're saying, like, what are we trying to achieve? We're trying to protect underground utilities, right? We need a place for water to go off of the road, right? We don't want that impeded by plantings and trees and everything else in the right-of-way. You certainly don't want to be planting a root base on top of all your underground utilities. Those are the essential services that are provided throughout the entire community. I wanted to show you some of the pictures here. Let's see where those were. So this is a tree, this is root system in the right-of-way, right? Destroying sidewalk and destroying the edge of road. These are tree roots in the right-of-way, breaking water mains and sidewalk. Crews are out there constantly repairing, tearing out. They need access to those underground utilities in those areas. And when folks are planning out in the village right-of-way, it makes repair and maintenance very difficult. These are tree roots under the sidewalk from plantings in the right-of-way. This is a utilities technician working on a water main under a tree in the middle of the night.
Is that a tree that the village planted?
It is. Yeah.
He's under a
Okay.
tree at night.
As a water main.
Oh my gosh.
So here's another.
My questions were-
Here's another water main break and impacts the entire roadway. Not only is it costly, but
Well, my question was more about low rooting plants or things that could be just as porous or water absorbent as sod. Yeah.
so we are allowing ornamental grasses and flowers and plants within the right of way.
Not in the first
And and in the flow line. We're simply asking that in the flow line, those be staggered, so don't create a dam, they don't create a wall.
And I thought I just heard you say that when there's like something is torn up, like with gravel, it's not replaced, correct?
What'd you say?
Did you say something about a minute ago about something when like gravel is dug up because of right-of-way work that it is not replaced?
When gravel is dug up, it's not, I don't understand your question.
I thought you just said that if there was
Put back to the original, like if it was all rock.
Rock.
Or whatever.
We're not going to put rock back in the right of way.
You can put grass back.
sod.
Right.
But we did put rock back in the drive. We did put rock back in the right-of-way on Tequesta Drive, didn't we?
I'm not aware of any rock that went back in the right of way.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Doug.
Round and round we go. As a whole, I still can't get on board with this, but I like parts of it, and I appreciate parts of it have been compromised. Still struggle with my name's not Karen, right? The 3 feet from the road that Mr. Sartori is bringing up, I understand having an open buffer for safety reasons. Let's say a pedestrian needs to get off the road real quick. But I struggle with residents asking that spacing. Why can't they be a solid hedge? If let's say it was permitted and approved, and it's in the correct spot away from utilities, but it can't be a solid one hedge, because water will find its way through, and at the base of every plant, it's not a wall. It's a couple root sticks that come out. So your claim, no offense, but that it's creating a wall and it's going to impede water, I don't agree with that. Water will find its way through the bases of plants. And there's many other little things that I brought up before. I still stick with it. I do agree with many of Mr. Sartori's points as well. Again, I like parts of this, and I understand the overall goal of it is to protect our utilities. Is that my fault that people don't call 10 years ago 811 and find out where they're putting things safely? That's not my fault. That's just a lack of education on society. I think this has been overcomplicated still, and we just need to maybe go back to the roots of it with some specifics. I know the goal was putting specific trees that would be allowed as long as they're permitted. But again and again, I just can't get on board with the whole thing as an entirety. That's all.
One of my favorite things to do when it rains really hard is right down from my piece of property, there is a storm drain. And it's in the grass, it's in the swell area of the right of way. But it's full of mulch, it's full of leaves, it's full of other debris that is coming in that's because of upstream, there's stuff in the right of way. Yes, water might flow through the roots of a bush or a hedge, but that bush or hedge has leaves, and those leaves do fall off, and those leaves do clog up the drains. But going in there, I like to clean it up, and all of a sudden we get this little circular, cyclone going down, and it's fun to see all the water come off the street. My kids love doing that. My point is, this is really, really, really important for drainage of just the natural flow of heavy rains. I know when I was on the council a couple of years ago, we had a massive rain, and we had a couple houses, Jeff being one of them, that had flooding in his house because of improper swells, improper maintenance of that area. So for me, it's very, very important. We're not a curb and gutter municipality. We are in a couple areas, but if we were curb and gutter, we could do a lot more to the edge. But we're not. And so as a result, we've really got to protect that from a stormwater side of things. That's one area that you haven't really talked about, but I know you know a lot about it. But to me, that is why I'm in favor of this.
Yeah, it's a good point. Great work on this, Doug. I know it's been a long process. This is one of those areas where, I mean, I've read the code. The summary that Jeremy put out was very, very helpful, by the way. Confirmed it with the code, but just really helpful for any council members. If you didn't get a chance to read it, I think it really does a good job of answering a lot of the questions I would have had, which again, I did confirm aligns with the code, obviously. But no, I think it's hugely important to protect our utilities. I can see how this can be looked at as kind of maybe too far, but I don't see it that way. I think it's a change, so people don't like change. They don't like to be told what to do on their property, which this isn't their property. So I don't have any other questions. Anything I would have had was in here. So whoever put that together, great job, and I appreciate it.
When did we start working on this? When did we start talking about it? When was our first workshop? Do you know?
I see September of 2025 is when the first workshop we had for it.
So we're kind of getting close to almost a year working on this. So I think we've been extremely thorough, extremely transparent. I think this is a great tool. I've said this on the dais before, I'll say it again. When I've received concerns, messages from citizens, I have maybe received citations. It was very convoluted to find the information. We have to go this ordinance and then this resolution and this manual. So this puts everything in one place so anyone can easily go look in our code and see what the requirements are in the right of way. So I think this is a good tool for village staff. I think it's a good tool for owners and businesses. I think it's a good tool for the contractors. So we all have guidelines. And is this perfect? Maybe not, but we can't let perfect be the enemy of good on here. This is a big, complex matter, and we might be doing an update in a year and a half, 2 years, as you discover, things in the field. I think that is normal and acceptable for something of this magnitude. So thank you for all your hard work. I really think this is a good thing. I have some minor formatting tweaks that Jeremy has. I think you guys can get updated for the next ordinance, second reading if this gets passed. Nothing I need to bring up. I did have a couple minor tweaks that I wanted to bring up with council. The decorative features about the mailbox section, and I think this arose from one of my comments at the last workshop. I don't believe this was in the last draft we saw. It states decorative features associated with mailboxes shall be limited to customary mailbox posts and address identification, shall not include statues, ornaments, rock features, decorative structures. I don't, well, from a federal standpoint, I don't know if the federal regulation allows for like the adorable manatee statue mailbox. And I've seen some others where they might put like siding around the post, which I don't think looks bad. If there's a federal regulation where truly it should just be a mailbox and a post, that's one thing. But if not, I would like to maybe simplify this and have staff discretion, so people can, if you want to wrap your post with some siding and it looks nice and decorative, is that really detrimental to the right of way? Are those manatee statues, which those make me happy every time I drive by and see them, like, are those detrimental to the right of way? Do you have
the United States Postal Service regulates mailboxes, right, as you just mentioned. And so they regulate the height, which is 41 to 45 inches maximum, and the setbacks are 6 to 8 inches. There are some other requirements that they have to be on a breakaway post. So if a car is coming down the road and the mailbox is hit, it's going to break away and not injure anybody, hurt anybody. Masonry, concrete is not permitted. So you see some folks building pavers and concrete around their mailboxes. That is not a good suggestion. The United States Postal Service isn't against decorative pieces on the mailbox. However, if we change the verbiage in the ordinance, perhaps we recommend that they get approval through the United States Postal Service, right here, our local branch, because the United States Postal Service can reject delivering mail based on what your mailbox looks like. I think if you follow the general guidelines, Typically if you take a look at other cities and what the United States Postal Service has done, they do allow that. So we could tweak the language on that if you would like.
So I would prefer that than the language being updated to follow USPS standards.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
And take out the decorative features and that language.
But it already says
Yeah.
applicable. It already says that they're actually. Yeah, I would leave it at that. What does council think?
Who enforces it?
The village would have to enforce it in their right-of-way. So if you're putting a mailbox in the right-of-way, you still have to file for a permit, right? You have to apply for a permit. It's the village right-of-way. If you're just replacing a mailbox, you don't need a permit, obviously, but it's that first 3-foot dig into the right-of-way where you could potentially hit utilities. You need to call an 811 locates and have a permit to do that.
So that'd be like a
And then
complete new
ultimately,
construction. Like a complete new construction might get rid of the mailbox versus everyone else that's already established. Okay.
Yeah.
So what does council think? Just remove that portion and just keep it deferring to USPS?
Yeah, I mean, that could, who
Knowing
knows
that-
if they're gonna change it, and at least it'll then follow whatever their changes are, and then we don't have to update our code,
I'm fine with the USPS regulations, but when we talk about a new mailbox, what property doesn't have a mailbox already? This isn't a new village, so no one technically should be pulling a permit.
New construction, tear down everything, empty the lot.
Yeah, they always get
the
new.
new house. Well, the
So
house
you could put language in there, unique and decorative mailbox designs and posts or enclosures may be approved by the village as part of a right-of-way modification, provided they comply with USPS requirements.
Yeah. Does that
I
work?
think so, yeah.
Okay, and Keith will have to opine if these are items that can be, sometimes I know we can edit for second reading, sometimes it has to be a first reading. So Keith, you just let us know when we're done with this.
So far, that change can be made on first reading, and you can still move forward.
Okay. The area where it talks about, the minimum flat area and that trees, shrubs, and hedges shall be planted within a flat area. This is super nitpicky. Can it be worded, can we say reasonably flat? I think it might be difficult for some property owners to get a perfectly flat surface, and it might look awkward because many houses, mine included, it slopes up all the way to the house. So I think if we can say reasonably flat, that gives some flexibility. I mean, there's a house, I know they have a swale, they have beautiful oaks on the property side of the swale, but it's not perfectly flat. It just can't be. So again, super nitpicky, but if council's amendable to that, I would like to put reasonably flat. We can't have a table flat surface. It's just not feasible. Is that permissible too, without?
Yes.
Councilmember Sartori did bring up the staggering in the flow. I do agree with that. But does that count? It doesn't apply to the highest side of swale, so we wouldn't ask people to be staggering trees.
No.
Okay, so we're good there. And then, let's see, the root barrier requirement. It says, unless waived in writing by the village manager's designee due to physical constraints or an engineered alternative. I would like to get rid of the due to physical constraints or an engineered alternative. Super standard practice to install root barriers where there's utilities, you're close to the sidewalk. I mean, I've seen a coconut palm, not that big of a coconut palm, lift pavers. So, if it's in a location where it's really not gonna impact utilities, sidewalk, roadway, I don't think we necessarily need to require a root barrier, but the way that's worded with physical constraints or an engineered alternative doesn't really meet that. So I think if we just get rid of that part and then we'll leave it at staff's discretion, if it's a condition where a tree or a larger shrub isn't really gonna impact any infrastructure, that they don't have to do the root barrier. Thoughts?
My only thought is future use of the utility in that right of way. But if there is, they'd have to dig it up anyways and then put the root barrier back, so.
They would, and usually they could do some root pruning, install the barrier at that time. So that's why I figured.
How expensive or hard of a process is it to do the root barrier?
For 18-inch in depth and 15-foot across, is about $60.
Okay.
And it comes in sections that you just put together. It comes in small sections and you pop them together.
I mean, I tend to agree with what you just said. I guess you just never know what's going to go in.
Right.
And if it's not nothing, I'm not saying that, but to not have to deal with it later, it's probably a good idea just to have it. But I also totally understand it could never really be necessary.
Yeah.
Well, Mayor, you're just referring to where there's physical constraints, where it's unique, where there's an obstacle?
Yeah, the part, just delete due to physical, put a period at the end of designee, manager's designee period, and get rid of the rest. That way you guys have the discretion, if there's no impact to infrastructure, that a root barrier doesn't need to be installed.
Yeah, there are, and so you do bring up a good point. There are many mature oak trees in the right-of-way, and you're not going to get a root barrier in against mature oak tree roots. So it's just impossible.
Done.
So that would be a unique situation.
If there's nothing there?
No, if,
At the time.
let's say you're replacing the sod of the right-of-way and you have oak trees beyond that, and those roots are encroaching into the right-of-way, you have mature oak tree roots there, you're not going to get or even if it's on private property and those oak tree roots have extended into the right-of-way, it's going to be very difficult to get a root barrier across that.
So you can't do like root pruning and install a barrier?
It depends. You know, we had a situation out on River Drive. They had a real steep property. The property was really elevated, and they cut back those mature roots the best they could without compromising the trees. The trees were on private property. We certainly didn't want to compromise their trees. So that would be a situation where it's going to be very difficult probably to get a root barrier in there because we couldn't cut the roots back any further.
Okay.
Even though it's on their property.
I don't know how many conditions, a lot of our right-of-ways already have utilities in it. What are the chances that a lot that has an area in the right-of-way that has no utilities in it will eventually have utilities down a road? You never know, but, we're pretty well established here with our infrastructure. I don't know. Again, I'm just trying not to be too excessive with everything. So what's consensus or no to add that flexibility on the root barrier?
I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I'm fine with it either way, but that's fine.
Okay, so give them the flexibility?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that was my last comment. So if council is amendable to all those, Keith, those don't have to come back for first reading?
We can make those changes between first and second reading and bring the second reading version back to the council with those amendments.
Okay. All right, that's all I have. Thank you, Doug. Lori, are there any comment cards? No, any public comment?
Mayor, can I address a comment?
Absolutely.
A comment was made that said we spent a lot of time on this and basically saying we spent too much time on it, we need to move forward, but everybody's definition of what is right up here doesn't always agree. And my comments have been the same, and I've questioned the same thing over and over again, so I apologize if it sounds like I'm dragging something out. I'm just merely trying to state how I feel. I think that's what I've been voted in to do, is to stand up for what I believe in, what I think is right for the village. And my definition of right may not be equal to everybody else's definition of right, but it doesn't mean I'm delaying a process. And that's how I kind of took that comment. But
okay.
I don't think it's right. I think it's confusing. I think just from the first article, it talks about what is legal nonconforming, and then it says if it's legal nonconforming, it will not have to be removed. But then the next paragraph says the following shall not be considered legal nonconforming, and it can be removed. So I think there's confusion from the first two paragraphs. All I'm asking is for, if I read this at midnight, am I gonna understand it and not have any questions? And I think there's a lot of questions in here, and that's all I'm trying to do is clear that up. And if that takes longer, then I will continue to bang the gavel and ask for, let's get this stuff right. So this will make my definition of right may be different than everybody else's definition of right up here.
Councilman Sartori, if I can just add, on a daily basis, I'm out there with residents, and they're applying for permits, and Tequesta is booming, as you know. And for the most part, 97% of the residents that we meet are fine with what we're doing and what the they just want to know what the requirements are. And they're happy that we're there to walk them through it and tell them, this is a restriction, this is what you can do here, this is the way the driveway is, this is what a swale is. They don't even understand what a swale is, right? And the purpose. And then when you show them the neighbor's house that just did a swale, and this house who just redid their sod, and this house, then they understand it. And they're typically fine with it. Or there are those folks that go without a permit and they just start, remodeling the house and redeveloping the grass and the sod and planting trees and putting rocks in the right of way. It's a very small percentage where that's happening, right? But for the most part, once you go out there and you meet with the resident, they're okay with it.
Yeah, thank you.
I think our biggest concern is at some point you're going to, after a long career, going to retire. And it's the future that might not be as active as you. And so that's why it's important that it gets right. So.
Yeah. The village has spent $9 million in infrastructure repairs.
With our culture, I would think
Try
the
to
next
protect
person
that.
will be as active.
They better.
That's way down the road.
Yep.
We don't have to worry about that. This council doesn't have to worry about that. All right, any other discussion? All right, Keith, with the motion, do the edits have to be read out loud again?
The edits were to revise mailbox decorative features, add that the flat area for swale plantings be reasonably flat, and add the flexibility to root barrier by getting rid of the physical constraint or engineering alternative and giving the staff more flexibility. Is that correct? So if there's a motion to approve with those,
Take public comments.
somebody.
Oh, yes, I did not do public comment. No, yes, I did. Didn't I? No, I did not. Sorry.
Oh, no,
I did.
You did.
Thought you
Okay.
did.
Yeah. I'm pointing at her then.
Fine. No, I appreciate.
Better be safe than sorry.
I appreciate the oversight. In case I did, I truly appreciate it. Thank you.
So those would be if that's what the maker of the motion wants, you can, with my.
I'll make that motion based on the comments
go.
Keith made.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed.
Okay, thank you, Doug.
Thank you.
Moving on, agenda item 22, consider changing the effective date of our annual increase to Tequesta Fire Rescue Master fee schedule from July 1st to October 1st.
Good evening again, everyone. Fire Rescue respectfully requests that the Village Council consider changing the effective date annual increase to Tequesta Fire Rescue Master fee schedule fees from July 1 to October 1. Currently, Village Resolution 722 from February 11th of 2022 and updating July 1 of each adjustment year, all the fees shall be adjusted by CPI. So we do this one. As soon as it comes out, we use two indices, and I'm going to try to paraphrase this. When it comes out in May, we get it in, and it comes out July 1st. I would request that we move everything to October 1st to match up with our fiscal, so there's no confusion and there's some transparency there, and everything is streamlined with the fiscal year, as opposed to doing some master fee schedules in the middle of the year. It still runs a year. It doesn't make, we don't lose any capture of income. And you'll see what I'm talking about when we get to one of these next presentations I have. But like I said, just making everything October 1 as opposed to having two of these master fee schedules come out, one 4 months after the other one, is a little bit confusing. So like I said, I request it to all go to October 1st.
Okay, thank you. Council, any comments or questions?
I have none.
None. Thank you, Chief.
Any comment cards? Any public comment? All right, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
All right, 1 for 1.
One down, 2 more to go. For agenda item 23, ordinance number 11-26, first reading. This is to update our EMS fees to align with CPI for annual increases.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance 1126, ordinance of the Village Council, Village of Tequesta, Florida, amending Chapter 34, Fire Protection and Prevention, Article 5, Pre-Hospital Emergency Medical Service, Section 34-124, Establishment and Review of Fees, to modify the fee establishment provisions to allow for automatic adjustments based on U.S. CPI data, providing that each and every other section, subsection of Chapter 78 of Chapter 34 shall remain in full force and effect as previously adopted, providing conflicts clause, severability clause, authority to codify effective date and further purposes.
I have a very brief presentation. It's actually not brief, but I'm going to make it as brief as possible. All right. Once again, this ordinance, first reading 1126, is for an increase in our EMS fee structure going by 2 CPI indices, and it's going to be hard for me to read that, so if I'm looking down, I'm looking at my own notes. So the first question is why the adjustment and why now? The cost of doing business in fire rescue doesn't go down. As you can see, the cost of diesel is going back up again. Personnel, the cost of apparatus maintenance, wear and tear, medical supplies, everything is going up. So this ordinance is going to fix that gap, and using these 2 indices, the same ones we use for our fire inspection fee schedule, we already use it, as you see in number 3, the same formula is already in use, and this is a very low conservative impact, which I will get into in slides as we move forward. As you can see, the numbers raise very, very low, about $26 to $32 over the course of our 5 different types of transports that we use. So this is 3.75 adjustment, and you can see on the bottom right in that table, you can see how much we're going up. It's an average of about $31 as opposed to where we were. We're currently on that left column, and this still doesn't get us close to what we actually spend on a call. And I did a very conservative estimate after talking to some of my colleagues actually this morning. They look between $2,500 and $3,000 for a 90-minute call. I did ours between $1,200 and $1,400. So we are very, very low compared to what we're getting back. And this is the formula that we use. So in the end of May, Urban Consumer Southern Region and the CPI Medical Care Group comes out. We use an average of that, and this is how we get that number. This is how this number is derived. And these are the exact same indices we use for fire prevention, so that goes up in an automatic fashion every year in usually June or May council. You guys will still retain control. I know it does say automatic, but I will have no issue bringing it to you this time of year. As soon as we get those numbers for CPI, we'll bring it to you for your approval or disapproval. So this is not, automatic was probably bad terminology to use. The fees are still never going to exceed the cost because Medicare specifically will only pay 80%. So the resident is only going to be responsible for 20%, and we'll get to that in another slide. And then we'll know the predictable timing of it. Every October 1, we will be able to see the master fee schedule, and this increase will come out. So you see where we are right now with where we fall behind. In 2020, that was before we did that bulk adjustment last year. We had to go up 15%. We were in the bottom of the county, and for a city that's 91% or 92% insured, we were leaving money on the table when it came to collecting. So there is a significant gap between where we were to where we are now. We had that big increase last year, but it's still just getting us to a little over half. So currently I would say we're probably in the 6 or 7 range to the 12 departments that transport. And we're right in the same ballpark with Palm Beach County. We're actually under them currently. If we get this increase, we will be able to be, I think we would be 6th. So I don't need to be the highest transport fee in the county, but I would like to be competitive to where I don't leave money out there when it comes to what we're able to collect. And there has been a surge since we've gone to EMSMC, which is a bill collection agency that we currently use. We contracted them right before I came on board, and our numbers have skyrocketed when it comes to collection. Before it was in-house and it was generally one person, we had some significant turnover there. And I've gone through this with Mr. Allen and with Chief True before he left. And it was just very difficult for one person to use, and then I have somebody working overtime doing it at the same time. So that was the challenge then, and we left a lot of money on the table, money that we desperately need to continue moving forward. So I don't want to do the 2025 rate shock, the 15%. I don't want to have to ever do that again because that was very difficult to bring to you all to get us up to speed. So if we go incrementally and we do it for 3 or 4 years and then you decide 1 year that we don't, I'm okay with that as well, as long as we're keeping pace to a degree. So here's the rates in the last 5 years for Medicare. They've all gone up. All right, everything has gone up between 16 and 18%, and this is their allowable. So this is what they're paying us, or they're collecting back, is about 80%. So here's where we are. It's kind of tough to read. We're in the red. If we get this adjustment, we will sit about 6th. And right now we're under what Palm Beach County and Jupiter are. Jupiter mimicked Palm Beach County as they're developing their own. And this is where it goes. And as I said, this is a very conservative estimate. So a medical unit, you can see that that's with a lieutenant and a firefighter paramedic. Most of the time, about 65 to 70%, we actually have a third person on there. So you can add another 57 some odd dollars to, or what is that? Pardon me, 47 some odd dollars to that medical rescue unit per 90, per hour. And we're looking at a 90-minute from start to finish transport time. And then you can see all the other adjustments on the right. And then if an engine is attached, we're looking at almost $300 an hour. And this is what our scenarios look like. This is what they would go to. And that's kind of broken down a little bit further for you to see where this money and how much it costs. Even if we don't transport, it still costs hundreds of dollars for us to run a call. And the transports, regardless of whether we make this increase or not, we're still going to have a shortfall for what we bill, because Medicare is only going to pay so much compared to, even with this increase, we're nowhere near what a call costs. And as I said, this is a conservative estimate. So this is us, approximately 6,300 residents. You can see where most of it is private with no supplemental is about half. And then about 1 out of 6 carry an Aflac type plan. 94% of our residents, Medicare-wise, will have a supplemental, so they will see 0 increase. On the next slide, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. So if you look at those top 3, they won't feel any impact whatsoever. So if you have Medicare with Medigap or some type of a supplemental or Medicare Advantage, you will owe EMSMC nothing. They will cover the shortfall from what Medicare allowable is, so that other 20%. If you are private with an Aflac type supplement, it'll be very minimal. Or if you have reached your deductible for that year, you will also see no impact whatsoever. We have less than 1% Medicaid, and the only people that will see the significant impact is going to be somebody who is uninsured or self-pay, which we also have very few. Any questions so far? I'm trying to be quick with this for you.
The uninsured self-pay, what was the percentage of those?
Oh, that's probably about 6%.
We might not see an impact through you, but we are seeing an impact through increased insurance.
Oh, no, 100%, 100%. I'm just saying specifically my end, it will impact, end user wise for your healthcare costs, sure, agreed. So this is what we're looking at, bottom line, 31% of the people in Tequesta will see 0 change, and about 61% will be very largely insulated. So they're talking somewhere between $28 and $30 that they'll have to come out of pocket if they get transported. And that's on an ALS2, which is the most serious type of medical call we run. And then that 8% will have the full increase, and those are going to be your self-pay and uninsured. 5 reasons why this is right. Costs keep rising. The fees still won't outset will not exceed what we're asking for. We will still not be anywhere near the top. I don't want to be number 1. I don't want to be the highest collector, but I do want to be in the ball game to cover that gap. And I would love to be able to keep these small increases as opposed to 15% like we had to last year. So here's our steps. Tonight, as we said, first reading, second reading in a month. October 1, it would go into effect, and then I would come to you each summer in probably June or July and request the CPI increase. Any questions?
If I can just add, this isn't driven by any of the November election stuff. This is our standard EMS billing. We did an increase in 2020, And then, of course, last year we did a large increase. So what we're really trying to do is smooth any large increases out. But this has no ties to any of the November stuff. So just FYI.
Thank you. Council, open up for discussion.
Great presentation, Chief. No questions.
No questions.
Remind me again, the non-ad valorem tax is only for fire and not paramedics, or is?
Yeah, it only covers fire. It won't cover EMS.
So help me understand kind of the point, because we're charging residents property tax.
So this is an on-demand. So this is only, you are only getting a fee.
Right.
You call 911, we show up, and we take you.
Got it.
That's it, correct.
So we're charging client or residents a property tax for paramedic service.
Yes, sir.
Right, and so we have some individuals paying thousands of dollars already for the property tax. We are now, and I understand the importance of this, and I'm just trying to think from a hypothetical side of thing and big thinking here. And now we're also, and we have been charging for that service when you do take them to a hospital or whatever. Where do you draw that line on, one, we got to have it just so we have all the equipment and services and stuff, and two, when it's needed?
So excellent question. So basically, this is just part of us doing business, and as the price of our service continues to go up, because it has never gone down. I've been in this industry for 34 years, and I've never seen it get cheaper to operate. Everything is driven by, in my opinion, largely by fuel costs. And right now, everything gets moved around by fuel costs, and right now, everything is more expensive than I've ever seen. I'm in the wrong industry. I should be selling fire trucks. So for us to stay competitive, and the biggest deal before I even got here was switching to that private collection agency, that third party, because now we're capturing so much more.
When you're saying stay competitive, who you're competing against?
Just with our own fees. Like, we're still nowhere near what it costs to run a call. Like, we're thousands away from what we need to gather back.
What percentage of your costs to make a run is covered by property tax?
Oh, geez, that's a good question. I wouldn't even make an educated guess on that, sir.
Yeah. To me, that's a very interesting number.
No, agreed.
What that would
Agreed.
be, and where do we, should it be 50%? Should it be 60%? What do you, in your mind, what percentage do you think it should be?
I would say you're in the ballpark right there, honestly. It is an interesting topic, to be quite honest with you. For us, like I said, it's unfortunately a losing industry.
Private, I mean, government should
correct.
Should not be profitable.
And fire rescue specifically, because we have no other way to generate revenue other than this and fire inspection fees.
Correct.
And it's hard to keep up, to be honest with you, because then I just have to come back to you during budget time and ask for more money.
We have decisions to make here in the next 18 months, and trying to figure out what is that ethical, right way
for me,
to do this.
once again, it's this, I'd rather smooth it over, like Mr. Allen said, as opposed to coming to you every 3 or 4 years and go, I need 12% increase, which sounds so jolting, that number, and keep it in 2 to 3% as CPI would be. And then this way we can at least kind of bridge the gap a little bit between what Medicare allowable is and what we are able to capture from a recovery standpoint.
So should we as council members expect the same amount of firefighters on union contracts not to exceed 12%, 10%, 5%?
If I was a union member, a pays doing a union member,
shocking,
I would give
right?
you
It's
that
shocking.
answer. No, agreed.
No further questions.
Nope, thank you.
Did you make that presentation?
Yeah, kind of.
Man, that was impressive. There were
Thank
a
you.
lot of graphs and charts on there. It was really good.
I mean, the numbers are mine, and the numbers I dig up in some late hours the past few days to,
No, that's good. That was really good. I had one question, just out of curiosity. It was several slides back. There was a cost for just the paramedic, and then there was a cost if the fire engine there.
Yep.
Is that in addition to the 182, or is that the total?
No, that's just my hourly. Those two blue boxes are just the hourly of the personnel.
Okay, so they're both there, you're getting both.
Well, we're paying for our
Correct.
residents.
So certain calls, references come in, like if you call 911, and it all depends on my staffing as well. So if my minimum is 3 on the engine and 2 on the rescue. So most days I have 3 on the rescue. So it's going to be probably the rescue will be able to ride alone because they won't need those extra bodies.
Yeah.
But it comes in as a higher referenced ALS call, like a trouble breathing, a chest pain, whatever, a car accident. We have to run the engine as well.
And you said
Whether
that's
it have-
about 60, 70%? Is that what you said?
Yeah, for 3 people, I'm over half.
Yeah.
I've got a couple people out right now, so it's been a little thinner lately. But when I'm full staffed, I'm at 6 most days.
Okay.
And which there's some other numbers out there that I didn't put in here. It's called unit availability, which is good for us. When I have that third person, and I'm not asking for it, I'm just saying when I have that third person on the rescue, the engine can stay available. So now I can run simultaneous calls, and I just wait for mutual aid for that second rescue if there is indeed a transport on that second call. So there is a benefit to us as a village to not having to worry about mutual or automatic aid from another agency.
Okay. No, I don't have any other questions. I get it. I think it's better to smoothly get there than to get that big hit.
I mean, it's a tough ask no matter what, because it always sounds like, I'm wanting more, but I don't want to ask for 15%.
No, nobody does.
That's right. And since we are the way we are as a village, coverage-wise with insurance and supplementals and Aflac and all that, I think a lot of this is going to be absorbed, and no disagreement with insurance hikes. I get that, but I don't think it's going to change what you pay out of pocket when it comes to somebody. Nobody's going to be chasing you for a bill for $28. Yeah. So.
Thank you, Chief.
You got it.
Great presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Because I know when we met on Tuesday, I was like, Chief, where's the data? I need the data. What are the fees received, costs incurred?
Can I record that so I can share that with my wife tonight?
Sure.
Right? Yeah.
So you answered all those questions. Thank you. The only question mark still for me though is like the bottom line, which Councilmember Stone brought up, is like, with the funding from property taxes and their general fund and this, like, what's that bottom line? Like, are we going to be in the red if we don't do this? It's because again, like we have to be able to justify
Understood.
on all those angles, especially with the conversations going on right now politically with the reform coming up. So you said you don't have that answer. I don't know. I mean, it'd be nice to just kind of understand that. Again, that's good information for us to have as we're talking to constituents. And
I can have it ready. I can get some more information numbers-wise for second reading if you'd like, and I'll be able to answer those
I
questions.
think we have the time. There's a second reading, so if you could gather that, I think that'll make me a bit more comfortable to.
And I'm about $500,000 in collections right now. To compare to when we didn't have the collection agency, I was in the 3s. So we're up substantially with this company. And it behooves them to do a good job, as we talked about the other day. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and then I see we've raised these fees, and then the write-off, the big number we're seeing on the next agenda item, that's gonna be even bigger. It shouldn't be because of the new, but it could also backfire as
Just
well,
trying to
right?
capturing the money that we have out there, Medicare allowable is the biggest thing. I just don't want to leave money on the table when it definitely is going to help the village, and not even regardless of what happens in November. Most agencies do this, and they do about the same way. There's really no automatics out there, and automatic is probably a bad word. It's more of a bring it to you again and vote on it each year, and I have no issue with that.
So this does say automatic, so we can remove that.
I have no issue with that. I'd love to make it automatic like my fire inspection fees, but I totally understand the volatility of the topic, so I have no problem removing that.
So would council want to strike that from the automatic, or is council comfortable with the automatic adjustments and not coming back to us every year?
I'm fine with it. I thought that was the intent.
Yeah, I'm
fine.
And it generally is, but like I said, if you want to review each year, I have no issue with it.
Like in my mind, I envision if it is automatic during the budget process, when we review the budget, we'll report that, kind of like what we did with stormwater. We told our trash and refuse and recycling, and put up a screen, so it's gonna be 4.71% for CPI. Speak now, forever hold your peace, and we just bring it forward as long as there's no issue. So during the budget process, if it continues to be automatic, during the budget process, we'll report CPI is 3%. That's what we intend to go up with EMS, and during that budget process, you guys can say, I'm not comfortable with that this year because of, whatever the circumstances is. So you'll have an opportunity. If just because it's automatic doesn't mean you won't have a chance to say no.
Yeah.
I mean, would it be like the resolution we just did for WM?
Exactly like that.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah, that's good with that. Can you pull up the chart again that showed all the different fire departments and, yes. What? some of the ones that are on the lower end are really big outfits. So how are they, and I can't imagine that their costs per call
It's all the
gonna be
same.
much
We
cheaper than
basically, it's basically going to be the same, roughly the same. But once again, I spoke to West Palm, Boca, Palm Beach County, and who else was there today? There was a very small meeting today, but they told me that my numbers are very conservative. And so they also get something, and I just learned about this today because we really don't have an impact here, and maybe Mr. Allen can expand on it, that PEMT money, which is you get more when you have more Medicaid, you'll get reimbursed more of what you're spending per call because Medicaid doesn't pay. So you're running a lot of calls in some of these other cities that there's no recovery, there's no collection in any way. And that's where they're getting that money back. So they may not have to charge as much because they're getting a lot of the money back automatically, like through the federal government or through the state government because of Medicaid coverage.
Got it. Okay.
And if you notice some of those other than maybe Highland Beach, they all have areas that would have higher Medicaid numbers than we do.
Okay, that
Yep.
makes sense. And then the 8% of people that would bear the full cost, and you said 6% are uninsured.
Yeah, somewhere between 6 and 8, sorry.
6 and 8. So, I mean, usually those that are uninsured could possibly be financially struggling because they can't afford to pay for health insurance, medical insurance. Do we work with people, like, especially if people, we're going to increase on costs on people potentially that are struggling financially? Do we work with people on payment plans? Like, you can pay, like, if you pay it off in a year, pay X amount each quarter. Do we work with them?
That's going to be a question for EMSMC, but I can definitely, our collection people, but I can definitely find out for you.
I would like to know that.
That percentage is based on the population, correct?
Correct.
Not based on the calls.
No.
Yeah.
There's a difference there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they might not have any
But we're
calls.
very, like, it could be just somebody that just doesn't want to carry
Yeah.
insurance, and there's people out there that are like that just don't want to have health care. And there's not many. I think the number was less than 240 or something like that inside the village.
Okay.
So
Yeah, that would be good to know. So the tying or closing the loop with the numbers with how the property tax revenue ties into this, and then it'd be nice to know if someone's
I'm sure
financially
there
struggling,
is
if
a
they work
plan.
out payment plans.
I'm sure there's a plan. If they'll get anything they can from people. These are bill collectors. It's just like anybody else that does that for a living. They'd rather have something than nothing. So I'm sure there is, but I will find out exactly what that is.
I appreciate that.
You got
Thank
it.
you. All right, any other council questions? Nope. Any public comment cards? Nope. Any public comment? All right, is there a motion to approve?
Was that to leave the automatic on or not? So just make sure I'm fine with leaving.
Yeah, so long as it comes like a resolution like at WM just did
Right.
today. Yeah, I think that's fine. So we're still seeing it. Yeah.
Did you make a motion?
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Right, agenda item, what are we on? 2024, resolution 07-26, which is a write-off on uncollectible EMS transportation fees.
So you will see attached resolution 726 allowing for the village of Tequesta to write off uncollectible EMS transport fees, dates ranging from 2021 to 2023, including a few from early 24, which is when EMSMC became our provider for collections. These accounts represent older outstanding items from Tequesta Fire Rescue's prior internal EMS billing process. The village had some turnover and there was issues with internal billing, and so that's when we decided to go outside. Most of these are Medicare, and there was an issue with how we reported and timeliness. And the other ones are, non-recoverable, which somebody is deceased, and then no forwarding information, they just can't find somebody. So basically, our internal people from 2021 to 23, early 24, have done their due diligence multiple times of contact inside, and we had, and I'm still learning the history, we had multiple people that were doing this job, and Mr. Allen, if you want to expand on that, there was some turnover there. Firefighter Wickert, who was hired to do that, then got hired as a firefighter, was doing it on his days off. So we basically had a part-time bill collecting staff, and it wasn't working, so we're leaving a lot of money on the table. This write-off is specifically why we went to a bill collection agency, so we could capture the most amount of money back from our EMS transport fees. It is a big number, but as a result of this should be the last time that we have to do this with any substantial dollar signs. Going forward with EMSMC, managing this process and accounts being pursued more promptly, write-offs will be expected to be substantially lower. The write-offs, this is for record keeping, and it does not constitute a forgiveness, waiver, or abandonment. What they do is they end up going to another, like a real collection agency, but it's a very minimal collection rate that they'll get out of this big number. I was told 10%, which I'd be thrilled to get something out of it, especially since it's 5 and 6 years old. But yeah, this is just moving forward. We kind of want to put this in our rearview mirror and move forward.
Thank you. Council, any comments or questions?
I have none.
No, I would ask if I had.
Good.
I have none, thank you.
I have none. Thank you.
Any comment cards? Nope. Any public comment? Nope. All right, is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Chief. You can go home now. Agenda item 25, approve setting the proposed maximum ad valorem millage rate for the Village of Tequesta for fiscal year 2026 through 2027 at a rate of 6.4595 per $1,000 of assessed value, and setting the public budget hearings on September 10th, 2026 at 5:30 p.m. and September 17th, 2026, 5:30 p.m.
So I made this PowerPoint myself, Patrick, Mr. Painter, I put this slide up there. She has read that. The other part I want to just add is that, with the new bill that was signed, and I think we talked about this a little bit, there is new voting requirements. And so in order to pass a millage rate, there's some different votes setting on the millage rate. So with our current millage rate, these are the criteria that you'd have to go for. So for a millage rate up to 6.1150, simple majority vote. A millage rate up to 6.7265, 2/3 of the vote. So for us, it'd be 4-1. In the past, we would just had to have a majority. For our millage rate, we'd have to have a 4-1 vote. Anything over 6.7265, you need a unanimous vote of the governing body. So it's important early in this process that we kind of are on the same page when it comes to, where we're setting the maximum millage rate. It can always go down from here. You just can't go up. And so just make sure that everybody understands the voting criteria. So if we would go back to the rollback rate, we'd lose an estimate or up to 6.11 where we could only get a majority vote. We'd be losing $779,000 to our current budget. We'd have to trim if we were just going for a majority vote. So that's it. Any questions?
Thank you. Council, any comments or questions?
No, ma'am.
Nope, I've none.
None.
Nope. Any public comment cards? No. Any public comment? All right, is there a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right, and the final agenda item tonight, agenda item 26, annual performance review of our village manager, Jeremy Allen.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. So, usually how I like to do this, council let everyone speak and give their performance review, and then we can talk the nitty gritty after that. So I will open the floor, council.
Mayor, you do have a comment for this one too, and hopefully it's positive.
Hopefully.
No, I think that Jeremy does a great job. I think he touches all his requirements, kind of his key measurement areas. And again, as I've always said, and I've said this to him before, Jeremy helps me and makes me a better council person and makes sure that I'm always prepared. Comes up with alternative opportunities, comes up with different ways of seeing things, is kind of the point to my counterpoint. And I just think you're doing a great job. So thank you.
Let's see, measuring the past year, I say you've been doing a great job at being proactive with things coming our way, whether it was legislative things, obviously what's coming in November. I know you and Jeff are working on possible what ifs, and I just like that you're always kind of thinking ahead just in case. and be proactive versus reactive. I have had concerns throughout the year, but as usual, you are always open to taking our calls or meeting with us at any time. And I appreciate that. And I hope you just keep doing that. Always having your door open for residents who are upset or concerned or have questions, or us who are confused or want to figure out ways we can make the village better with planning. You're still on that same path with planning, and I like that because when you first came in, there was no plan from the previous village, essentially. So I like that you are still on that path. Don't lose that path. Stay humble. If you ever don't get humbled, I will humble you, I promise. I do like that, again, you're keeping us consistent and on one page. I know we get little memo updates for us, and if one is asking for clarification on something, you are pretty good about sending it to all of us saying, hey, this was asked, and here's information, so that way we come prepared and we can make the best decisions possible for our village people. So stay on that path and just make sure you stay humble and honest and always keep your door open. That's it.
I've had the privilege of probably hiring over 100 people, and I would say you've been my best hire that I've been a part of, and I know Lori was part of that as well. However, I've only got to work with you like 3 months this year, so I have like a quarter of an opinion here. I think your contract is coming up in a year or so, and I know there's a lot coming up, and I'd make a recommendation that we try to lock Jeremy in before November. And if you were open to it and the council's open to it, maybe renegotiate your contract for another 4 years, but have it done before November. Just because of everything going on, I would like to have kind of synergy there, and I think that'd be something wise for us to do.
Yep, I would agree. I have that written down as well for the nitty-gritty part of the conversation.
Well, and I agree as well. Every time we do these, I think about how awkward it'd be if you weren't doing a good job, but
that'll be fun.
Would not be fun.
Lucky for you, you're doing a great job. So, yeah, I will second what everybody else has said, but also just going through the criteria. I mean, leadership, staff seems to really enjoy working with you. I enjoy working with you. You're extremely communicative, which I really appreciate. I'm regularly late to Zoom meetings and you wait, so I appreciate that as well. Although you did it to me this week, so we're even. And yeah, I mean, just getting us prepared for this meeting. There's a lot of stuff, and just getting, perspective and context is very helpful for the meeting. So really appreciate that. Fiscal responsibility, love how proactive you're being, with hopefully what won't happen, but a real possibility of the property tax really affecting how our little local government does business. And I love how you're doing everything you can to try to think about how that might look and get ahead of it to the extent you can if it does happen. Which I think goes all to the creativity side. You're thinking outside the box. I mean, this has been a big year, obviously, with Tequesta Park. I mean, it's so big, and I know that was a lot of people's, maybe came up with that idea, but the fact that, you pursued it the way you did, I mean, that is going to be such an awesome asset for our village, and so really, really big. Everything else, I think you do a great job. So fully for whatever Mayor Molly would like to talk about.
So I align with what all of council said. You definitely excel at all 5 of the performance expectations, criteria that were in your contract. I think, we've built a really good working relationship over the past 5.5 years. We talk multiple times a week. If there's any, room for improvement anywhere, we talk about it immediately. Adjustments are made. So we would never get to a point where it's his annual performance review and it's like, we got a problem. And again, that's because of the leader you are, and you're willing to have those conversations and take that feedback and make improvements, because all of us constantly should always be improving. These 3 are for looking forward for this next year. None of this is going to be a surprise to you. At a micro level, I think we should keep improving on just the consistency with code enforcement as well as communication with staff, making sure staff's all the same page and communicating the same message to public. We've really improved on that this year, and I think we can keep doing that. I personally, it's one of the issues I hear about from residents the most with frustration. And then funding solutions, especially if the property tax, even if the property tax reform doesn't pass, just looking at ways to, we always talk about, well, capital projects are not going to happen. Eventually, capital projects have to happen. So how can we figure out funding solutions to where we're not always, delaying or just not even doing any capital projects? At a macro level, how can we get in that growth versus scaling mindset, especially if property tax reform passes? The private entity, private businesses that, they all are scaling. Everyone wants to scale their business. So how can the government do that? How, can we get that mindset? So again, this is nothing negative. This is just food for thought for things that I think all of us should be thinking of next year. Fantastic job. So thank you. Thank you for everything you do for our community. So the nitty gritty. So per Jeremy's contract, he gets the same percentage increase on his salary as the non-union employees, which I believe is 3% this year, correct? Is that still the budget? Mm-hmm. And then we've always given him a bonus. I suggest $18,000 this year. Last year was $17,000. I'm open to conversation on that, of course. Again, I would like to talk about if Jeremy is interested in this, extending his contract another 4 years now, not waiting until the end of his contract. That's about it. So what are your thoughts, council?
I guess regarding the contract, what would the timeline look like if it were to be bumped up a year?
What do you mean?
So let's say we renewed it tonight. What would the years be?
There's 1 year left on the current contract. The way the council did it the last time, you did a new 4 year term that began when the prior 4 year term ended. So if you did the same thing, then the new 4 year term would start in 2027.
Okay. The only question I have.
Is there anything in the contract that we would want to renegotiate?
That's up to count. Does everyone have a copy of the contract? I mean, this could be, if we want to go down this road, this would be maybe another conversation. I was not here for negotiating the first contract, the full terms. I've been here for all the amendments. So if we're really taking a look, if there's something we want to look at,
If there's anything that Jeremy would want to open up or not. I mean, there's a couple things probably.
So it's worth taking a look at. I didn't know this was coming tonight, per se, so, but typically the process would be you guys would authorize the mayor to negotiate with me, and we'd have a meeting before the next meeting, and then that would come, and we can do the bonus part as we have in the past where we do it, and then it comes back for a resolution or in consent agenda, so it's already done. But the actual contracting tweaks of that, you guys would authorize the mayor to negotiate with me, and then we'd figure out what that looks like, and it would come back.
And the bonus was structured in a way when we hired Jeremy that we were basically underpaid per the market, and it was based on performance driven to then get him up to the market, basically in theory. And I remember it was a percentage of the budget, right?
0.001 of the general
And
fund.
so what is the max that you can get? I don't know, for this year.
What's our general fund? 21, 22?
It's right around $21 million.
So 21,000.
I can give you that number, but.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. I just wanted to point that out to me. It was a decrease in salary with a merit-based bonus based on performance. And because of that, that's where I would be more leaning towards is going to the maximum amount.
The full 0.001 of the general fund?
Based on all the comments I heard tonight.
I'm in agreement with that.
I agree.
I'm good with that.
So that would be my motion, along with giving you the permission to negotiate with him for the next contract.
Is there anything, well, I guess how does that work? So I'm negotiating it and then we bring it back to council and they say yay or nay?
Yep.
Basically. Okay, if you guys are good with that.
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
That was my motion.
I'll second.
I need to take public
Oh,
comment,
my
because
bad.
I know we have a public comment card.
Then I hold my motion then, because I'm
Yes,
good at
please.
these comments.
Sorry. Lori, is there a public comment card?
Yes, there is. Scott Reynolds.
I was glad to hear all the positive comments. Scott Reynolds, I live at 370 Oak Avenue. I've been a Village Tequesta resident since 2012. I've only been to the council meeting twice in my residency. One when my son was very small, wanted to see how local government worked, and I brought him to the council meeting. I will tell you some things about Jeremy that I've already told him in private. I did not realize his evaluation was this evening, so I see an opportunity to vocalize what I've already told Jeremy. In my tenure being with the village, I've seen a transformation, specifically starting when Jeremy started here. You see sidewalks being put in, you see roads being paved, things such as small things that most people don't even recognize, that swales being dug out, storm drains, making sure that when before a storm gets here, you see workers out cleaning out the storm drains. Very important. There's roads that flood, as you're aware, if they're not cleaned out, but he's making sure that the workers are out doing that. That's very, very important. Those are the small things. Some of the bigger things that I've noticed, I'm the CFO for the town of Jupiter, so I get to interact with Jeremy on a regular basis. He's always at all the meetings to gather data to bring back to you all to help educate. That's very, very important. You have a very professional manager here at the town. I'm very pleased to see that. Talking about what's going to be coming up on the ballot in November, it's going to be very important to have a professional manager at the helm to help during that time. If it does pass, if it does, it's gonna transform local government, especially for smaller jurisdictions like Tequesta. But I just want to say, the council, you all do a very thankless job. Thank you for your service as well. You're really unpaid volunteers. I get it. I've been in this business for 35 years, so I've seen a lot of really good managers, and I see that in Jeremy as well, and what he's doing for the community, because you give the vision, he has to implement it, and I can see it being implemented across the village and allowing for opportunities for us as residents, and just wanted to take this opportunity. I've already told Jeremy these things in private because I want to make sure he was aware of it. Even just walking into the village, you get a different greeting than you did 12 years ago. The staff has been upgraded. I'm not trying to say anything bad about or negative about the previous staff. It's just there's a different feel when you walk into the village hall. And I know it's attributable to Jeremy and the standard that he's setting for staff and the expectations of the community. So thank you, Jeremy, for what you're doing for the village.
Awesome. I was ready to give you another 3 minutes if you ran past your time.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments tonight. We appreciate that.
Great.
All right, and now we do, yeah. Is there a motion? Kyle, do you want to restate the motion?
So my motion is to, for Jeremy, for his bonus based on merit to be at the maximum level possible, and then to give the mayor permission to negotiate his next contract.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, on to any other matters. Council?
I have nothing.
I have nothing.
Nothing here.
I have nothing.
I want to bring up one item, as you guys have probably seen in the news and other outlets. The BCC was talking about potentially doing, charging a fee for parking at the county beaches. So right now, it seems like it's tabled. They said they're not going to look into a resident fee. But I wanted to see if council wanted to be proactive. Well, see what council feels about a beach parking fee, because that would impact Coral Cove. And then things could change. They could decide to talk about it again. So do we want to be proactive and maybe have a letter, a resolution if we need to use it down the road, depending on how council feels about the beach parking fee, since it will impact our residents at Coral Cove?
I think it's an awful idea, and I'm happy to put a letter to send to anybody that thinks it's a good idea.
Yeah, 100%.
In general, I am fully opposed a beach fee. However, I have not exactly looked in detail at their budget and where they're putting their money. So that's just my personal opinion. I don't like it, but I haven't seen all their facts either.
I'm opposed to any beach parking fees.
So I guess the question here would be, and we don't need to do a resolution, as long as we have consensus and we write a letter, my idea, since they came out publicly and said that they were not in support of residents paying that, do we want to have a letter, or you guys authorize me to write a letter in case it becomes an active conversation? We won't have to wait till the next meeting. So if we can get consensus, just hold the letter, and then obviously I would let you guys know before I even sent out a letter if it started getting them. We'd have conversations at least internally, but if we got a consensus to move forward with that, then I can draft a letter and have it ready in case we need it.
Yeah, that was my intent. I definitely don't want to send it, but I want to just have it ready and have the consensus among us so we can if we need to.
And it would be on behalf of the mayor, because you guys are authorized. I'm gonna write the letter, but it's gonna be, she's gonna be acting on behalf of the council for it, so.
And is that consensus with this is okay?
I'm fine with consensus. I'm just looking for all the heads to nod.
I am fine with a letter opposing it.
Okay. All right, great. With that, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I can't.
You got a chauffeur?
I do have a chauffeur.
What's up, road? It's
Yes.
late. Take a break.
Can't.
Take a break.